this motherfucker up early as shit. Damn, man. You on the stream before I even get on the stream. Good morning. No shirt Sundays. Oh, the buffness. Oh, shit. Yes, sir. The buffness is out this month. It's hot as hell, bro. The day start out hot in the damn studio. Alright, I was gonna. Damn.
Through the center, no follow-up, no ground and pound, one. Boom. That would have knocked out anyone in vision. Look at the height he gets on. He has trouble landing properly. He had such a leap on that shot. It came from trying to duck down under those straight punches that have been hitting him throughout this fight.
Yo, how he knee him and push him like, yo, this dude is still in the air and he push him at the same.
When you hit the canvas that hard with the back of your head, you are out.
Yo, he kneed him, and while he was in that, both of his feet are off the ground, and he's still pushing this man while he's flying through the air.
Through the center.
Burger King.
No follow-up, no ground and pound, one and done.
Bam! And then he shoved him. Look, he pushed him. He ain't even hit the ground yet.
He gets on. He has trouble landing properly. He had such a leap on that shot. Came from trying to.
That's what it is, Turn.
I
sure appreciate it, bro.
Hitting him throughout this fight. He ducked right into a flying knee. Look at him, real speed.
Motherfucker got bedtimes. What you doing tonight? Shit, nigga, I'm about to go to bed. You going to bed? Why you going to bed so early? Oh, shit, man, painting with the Prince. Man, that shit come on like 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning. I gotta be up for that shit. I gotta go to bed now. Nigga, it's 1:30. I should have been in bed. You gonna have me late for the show. Yo, Turn say you coming out tonight? Nah, that nigga say you gotta go to bed. Alright, I'm stuck on Facebook. Please, just close it. Just, close Facebook. Close it. Alright, it's closed. Whew. Good morning. Man, that Facebook had me captured for a second, man. It's the algorithms, the posts, the ads. It fucking sucks you in. Somebody up too. Shit. Motherfucker gotta be up for this shit, man. I'm an early bird. You know, y'all can tune in later and watch it later on today, but it's always better to catch it live. That's what I went to Facebook for. See, I went to Facebook to post this stream in another art community. Man, I started scrolling down posts and looking at a motherfucker get kneed in the jaw. Knocked that motherfucker out though with that flying knee. Wham! And then shoved his ass. Alright, let's see. Alright, some serious shit. Share, 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 share. That's interesting. look presentable. But this is about as presentable as it gets. Alright, almost got stuck again. Damn. Yeah. How do you practice that? Hey, little kid, stand right here. I got a move I want to practice. Like, you gotta be on a punching bag, just kneeing a punching bag all day. This motherfucker took flight with that knee. Yeah, that's crazy. What's the background of your tats? They're all dumb and stupid as fuck. Let me see if I can knee your face. I'm not gonna hit you. I'm just see how close I can get. It's just like shooting an apple off your head. You know, I'm not intentionally aiming at your head. I'm aiming at the apple on top of your head. See? I'm gonna do it just like that. I'm not gonna knee you in your face. I'm just aiming at that little area right beside your face to see how close I can get. I did all my tats except for this one, and this is the dumbest one because that's a girl's name. Shantae. Man, she was fine as hell back in the day. Boy, let me tell you what, yo, this bitch been so bad. Boy, she been so bad. Let me tell you how bad she was. This bitch was so fine, I tattooed her name on myself. Yo, that's how fine she was. Boy. And the thing she could do with, anyway. So yeah, this is the only tattoo anybody else has ever put on me. But this was the very first tattoo I did. I can show you guys how to do a tattoo. Oh, wrong thing. So tattooing is very, very simple if you do it the old Egyptian way. A lot of older cultures have been tattooing for thousands of years. And normally I use a safety pin because a safety pin has that loop on it where you can actually grip it and it'll give you a bit more to hold on to. But this was the way I was taught how to do a tattoo in a public park, just sitting outside in the park one day. And a friend of mine, actually a female, she was taught this technique by someone in her family. And it's just, there's no secret to it. It's just the old way of tattooing. You have to prick the skin and put ink in your skin. So, I said I normally would I would straighten out a safety pin. And because when you straighten out a safety pin, it has the little loop and then the head of the pin, and you can actually grip the loop better for when you're actually poking. So what you want to do is you take a pin and a piece of thread. This is a sewing needle. And you want to, I can't believe I'm telling you guys how to do a jailhouse tattoo. You just want to wrap the thread around the head of the needle so that only the very, very point is sticking out. And the thread holds the ink. Exactly. Now I'm not gonna do the whole thing, but essentially you just want a nice cushion of thread at the tip of your needle, so you can see like just the very point of that pin is sticking out. So you wrap your thread around there, and you get a cap or something, and you dip the whole tip of it in there. That thread will soak up the ink, and when you poke yourself, it's all one move. You thrust. All you gotta do is prick the fucking skin of the surface of the skin just to open it, and that ink will go in there, and you got a fucking tattoo. That shit ain't coming out, bro. You do this shit right here, this is a tattoo gun, except a tattoo gun has a motor, and the motor spins, and you get 1,000 fucking pricks a second instead of 1 prick a second. Same fucking concept. So when somebody taught me how to do this, I was like 16. So I immediately ran home. I'm about to give myself a tattoo. Fuck all these shits up. So I got some ugly ass like dragon like kind of design. I don't know. I was really big into like Asian shit, as you can see, like dragons and Japanese anime and shit. So I actually got this from a anime that I used to love to watch. This anime movie was called Shadow Skills, and I thought it was cool. So I said, I'm gonna write that on myself. Huh? So I put a dragon on there, then I put some Japanese shit on me. You know? Then I said, you know what? Let me give myself a cross too, so I can be like Tupac. Because Tupac had this nice ass cross. So I was like, fuck that. I want a cross too. So I put a cross on myself. And as soon as I put the cross on myself, I started studying religion. And I was like, what the fuck did I do that for? So now I have a nut ass cross that I don't believe in. So now I got a weird mythical creature. Got a language that I don't even speak. I got a representation of a religion that I don't even practice. And then, to top it off, just because I was such a smart young man, I went and put the acronym HNIC. HNIC, which stands for Head Nigga in Charge. So I just went to, just basically call myself a nigga and put it permanently on my body. Head Nigga in Charge. And now I think about these things and it's like, why did I do any of that? Why did I do any of that? Because I was young and uneducated. I was miseducated, misinformed, and led astray, not knowing myself and my true origins, which led me to, put depictions on my body that has no relevance on my life at all. Has no significant meaning for me at all. It's just a bunch of gibberish and bullshit. But it's a reminder of how ignorant I was and how far I've come in my education. I'm not gonna get them covered up. Like I said, it's a memory. You know what I'm saying? Don't live on the regrets. Do I regret it? No. I just look back and see who I was, and I can see who I am now. I was a different person then. I was a kid. I was 16, 17. You know what I'm saying? Not really aware of most of my actions or the implications and repercussions of my actions. So I can look back and say I actually grew a little bit. It's a reminder that I did think a certain way at one time, and I no longer think that way. So I'll keep them. Because when I start feeling myself and my ego started getting big, and then I look at that shit, be like, don't forget you did that right there. You ain't always been as smart as you think you is, cause you got an ugly dragon on your arm, and you got HNIC on yourself, nigga. Oh yeah, that is right. I'm not perfect. This man says, the otter. What's up, Dave? What do you do? Abaddon, the Destroyer, Abaddon. That's a cool ass name. Abaddon, the Destroyer. Abaddon. Whom or what turned your life around, may I ask? 9/11, actually. Well, I don't know. It's weird. Okay, so I did all of these before seriously, I was like 16 years old, 15, 16 years old doing this shit. I did like close to 200 tattoos, hand tattoos, like over the course of a couple summers, just when school is out, that's what we did. Because the tattooing was illegal in South Carolina. So yeah, I did all this shit when I was really, really fucking young. I left home and I moved back to Philadelphia when I was like 18 or 19. Right before. It's kind of hard to say, you know what I'm saying? Like, I was questioning shit before I did this. I was already questioning a lot of shit, but when I was 19, I really started questioning the world. A friend of mine let me read this book written by David Icke. It was 2000. I was 18 years old. Oh shit, I just wasted all of that. I was 18 years old in 2000, living in Philadelphia, and reading this book from David Icke called The Biggest Secret. And he started talking about a lot of different shit, you know? And it just really sparked my interest, and I just started doing a bunch of research after that. Then 9/11 came, and then started doing more research after 9/11. But really, really, really what made me start thinking about my own culture, my own people, the black diaspora in America, Pan-Africanism, and like really how to respect yourself as a black person and understand who you are as a black person. I give all that credit to Tariq Nasheed. Once again, Tariq Nasheed. I've always considered myself to be smart or a bright person or an apt pupil, or I figure that I can learn almost anything if I apply myself, and I think that's roughly anybody. If you apply yourself, you can learn anything. And so in my mid late 20s, I thought I knew a lot, you know what I'm saying? I've been researching shit for years, all kind of shit for years, except myself and my people, my culture, you know what I'm saying? Until I seen Tariq Nasheed put together a documentary called Hidden Colors. Hidden Colors. If you've never seen the original, the first Hidden Colors documentary, I advise anybody to watch that shit. Black, white, Mexican, Puerto Rican, whatever, Haitian, German, French. If you've never seen Hidden Colors, watch that shit. And I watched Tariq Nasheed's Hidden Colors, and that shit really changed my life. It's like I needed to know more about black people. I just realized I went fucking 25, 30 years of my life and nobody taught me about black people. And that's why I have a fucking dragon and Chinese and Christian crosses, and I call myself a fucking nigga, head nigga in charge, because nobody ever taught me about black people. Not from a black point of view. No black people taught me about black people. Only thing I knew about black people is what the white man told me. So, yeah, Tariq Nasheed's Hidden Colors is what really, really, really changed my perspective on the world and how it functions, history, and the way I should interact with individuals and groups of people as a whole. You know? Yeah, so Tariq Nasheed, I fucking recommend that shit to anybody. Watch that shit. Watch Hidden Colors. That shit to change your life too. And I never. And oh, you know I need my all natural herbal supplement and dietary regulator to start my day off. Fiber. Hit the bong and then you hit the om. 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 Yo, Trippy. Oh, damn, if I had a beat on, you know I'll be freestyling right now, that Trippy land, boy. You blowing into the fan. Om. Motherfucker, hit the bong and then hit the om. Cause my medication is meditation. My meditation is medication. My medication put me on the elevation like an escalator. I'm going up, haters. Yeah, my medication is meditation. My meditation is medication. My medication put me on the elevation, the escalator. Oh shit. Y'all ain't want to rhyme acapella, no beat. Y'all niggas on the playground, no streets. Yes, I've taught several people how to paint using the techniques and methods that I use. I've lectured twice at universities about art, and like right now I'm in the midst of putting together a artist talk show. The guy who used to be the director for our public access channel has the finances and the slot time for a couple of TV shows, so he came to me out of all the artists in the city and was like, "Hey, can you host this show?" Like, what do you want me to do? All right, we're gonna interview all the other artists, and you sit down and you talk to them. And I'm like, all right, cool. So that's the thing. And what else education have I done? Oh, this show. I'm instructing and educating right now. So I do this show. Some guys a couple years ago stepped at me about like this real black consciousness website. It's called Colossal.com. Still advertise real big for Colossal.com, and it's just like all positive things in black community and the black world, what's going on right now, everything positive. And I was the art director for that website for a while. It got shut down because it was too black, it was too pro-black, and a lot of sites like that come under fire. So through that website I was definitely trying to help educate people there too. So whatever way I can get out there, but like formally in a classroom setting, you know, I get there and set something up, and then 15 or 20 people come in, and I say, "Good morning, everyone. I'm Mr. Prince. I will be your instructor for today. This is Art 101. We're going to talk about pastels. Take a seat, everybody. Have your supplies and the lesson plan for today." No, so I've never done like that before, but I still try to get it in any way I can. You know what I'm saying? It's that underground education. It's that real education. Because in most educational or instructorial positions, you're gonna have to abide by or follow some strict guidelines set forth by the institution that is allowing you to use their space to educate or instruct other people. And so that therefore their their name and their brand will be associated with you, so you have to come in term with their guidelines to make sure that they don't look bad. So if you can ever educate or instruct people on your own terms, and you can say whatever the fuck you want, you can give people real knowledge and real education without being sanitized or handled by the middleman. Make sense? This is a painting of a beautiful young lady. Do I know her name? No, I know the photographer. So never actually talked to or communicated with the model, but I I know the guy who took the picture. So it's actually his work, and so I talked to him. Yo, dude, you take awesome pictures. Do you mind if I paint some? He was like, sure, go ahead. I was like, I want to paint this one. He was like, that's a good one. I'm like, so I'm painting it. But he has made me aware of who the model is, so I follow her on Instagram. I'm not sure of her name exactly. Matter of fact, I should send her the link to this show right now, because I'm going to try to finish this up today. There's not a lot left on it. I'll probably be in here for maybe like 4 hours and really try to push it and just get this piece done. It looks really good. There's just a little bit I want to do to the jacket, the coffee cup, and the table. And I think after that, I'm going to just let it go and start working on another piece. So, will I send it to her like a copy? Maybe. If she wants a print, I could definitely give her and the photographer a print for allowing me to use his work. That's never a problem. I actually sent out some prints the other day to another photographer who let me use their photos, and they didn't want any payment for it. They just said, hey, you can use my photo if you send me a print of the painting. And I was like, yeah, no problem. So that's always like, it's another form of trade and barter, you know what I'm saying, within this community that I'm working in right now. And everybody's trying to get exposure, and everybody's trying to help uplift everyone else at the same time without taking so much of a loss on their creativity. So I'm meeting a lot of really different positive business minded um, people in this network who are really striving to help everybody, you know what I'm saying? And so I've met awesome photographers this year, because I have cameras, and I try to photograph as much as of my own material as I can. But it's always hard for me to find models, and I'm not a professional photographer. So there's photographs that look 10 times better than the ones that I photograph. And I want to paint those shits. I want to paint really, really, really good photographs. And every once in a while, I do get like a really good shot, and I want to use it. But when I don't have any of my own material to work from, I'm always scoping out photographers who are willing and will allow me to basically collaborate on a piece, because it's their image and my art, my handwork, which is going into making a piece. So it's both of our art in one. So I like doing that. And I know I've had a lot of really good experiences lately meeting people. Oh, this photographer right here. Why is my Instagram moving so slow? This is CWJI. I can never get those letters right. It's basically his initials, but it's CWJI photo is his Instagram. And matter of fact, like I said, I'm gonna go ahead and send them the link to this stream right here, because I'm about to kick it with these brushes and get this thing done. Yeah, I just sent in the link. Oh, it's looking nice. Like I said, I'm one more layer of paint. You know what I'm saying? Just to pull that grain out a little bit more and sharpen up some of the lines. Like, cause it look good from a distance, but as you get up on it, you can be like, a little bit. So I want to get real up close on it, sharpen up some of that wood grain, add a little bit more contrast. That table gonna look nice, yo. That table gonna look nice. I guarantee that. Like it's been a while. I've been working on this piece for a while, but I've had fun the entire time just because it's I don't know. I like doing bright outside shots, but then when you get those dim inside shots, it's I don't know. It's something about like just like that little nice, quiet, warm cafe feeling. I love that feeling, and I haven't had a shot like this in a minute where you know it's indoors. It's chilly outside. She has her coat on. They're out for coffee. You know what I'm saying? I'm loving this image. Ever since I first saw that shit, I was like, yeah, that's dope right there. You know what I'm saying? Here's another one for me. So this I photographed this one myself, but it's the same thing, right? You see? Look, the fur and the leather, the coffee. You know, look. You don't see the coffee cup right there? You know what I'm saying? The coffee, the bookstore, you know, just like chill cafe, like having a cup of coffee, just chilling. You know what I'm saying? It's cold outside. Got the little fleece hoodie. You know what I'm saying? I like that scene for some reason. I can paint that scene over and over and over, just like with different people in different locations. And that cup of coffee right there, I can do that shit like for that. I might do a whole other series, like a cafe series, cafe and coffee or some shit like that, or coffee and reading, or I don't know, but it's something. It's the same shot, right? And then if you look at I did another one before, and it's the guy at the payphone. But on that, it's a warm day and it's an outside shot, and he's on the phone, but you can see the little cup of coffee in the background. So it's, I don't know, it's something. So he just came from the coffee shop. It's something about just chilling, you know, just chilling on a day where you ain't really got nothing important to do other than have a good day. You know what I'm saying? When people say, bye, have a good day, like that's my plan for today. That's my only plan, is to have a good day. You know what I'm saying? I'm just chilling. Word, it's crazy small world, right? Crazy small world, right? But you see how dope his shit is, right? Motherfucker got that eye, yo. He got that. I don't know. There's certain shit that I see, and then other people see it the exact same way, and I'm like, oh shit, that's how I see it. You know what I'm saying? And I like people like that. He has that fucking eye. The coffee series. Yeah, because the photo is kind of short here, so there's not a lot of table. So I extended it down some. So my table is a lot longer, and so that wood grain comes down and start to expand, and the table actually comes out towards you now a little bit more. So yeah, the table is kind of different. It looks a little bit different than the photo. It's hot as fuck in here, yo. It's cooling off in this bitch now. Got that fucking AC pumping. God damn. Motherfuckers in this bitch sweat. I just got out the shower, coming here, and bitch starts dripping like, whoa, man, what the hell? What's going on? She feel like a sauna in here. I'm just trying to paint. Motherfucking slaving for real like that. I got a slave. and sweat the paint. Jesus, Lord, I don't want to do that, man. And then in the wintertime, boy, this room in here be cold as shit. I be in this bitch with a scarf on. I be tying my dreads around my ears like some earmuffs and shit. Paintbrush be in here fucking. Stressing about what? All right, one more time. This is gonna be the last time. Cause this shit is kind of strong. I ain't gonna lie. This shit strong as hell. Phew. Damn. Phew. Why are y'all motherfuckers up so early? It's Sunday. Y'all ain't going to church? Y'all go to church. Learn about Jesus. Let me not get on y'all church folks early on the Sunday morning. All y'all in here watching this shit. No, y'all supposed to be in church, ain't it? Lord Jesus. Like to work member about the church this morning. My name is Pastor Preacher Brother Deacon. I want everybody reaching y'all Bibles to turn to Luke chapter 2, verse 37 to 39. Sure, why not? Yeah, right. Be fighting them coughs back. A professional does not cough. Cough. Let's go to church, people. Because God said, when you talk to God, it's in the book. It's in the great book. Go to church and read your Bible. All right. So, how many people we still got in here? We got a few people in here. The point of atheism is not to question, which is a religion in itself. But okay, so everybody in here, Ron, Shada, I'm about to ask you first. So it's on Sunday. Now, was Jesus black, white, or did not exist? Question of the day. Happy Sunday, motherfuckers. Ooh, I'm gonna rattle them religious bones. Was Jesus black, white, or did not exist? Now, whichever way you answer, you gotta have what they call proof. Or a little group of things they call facts. So, was Jesus black, white, or did not exist? Now, this is a trick question. I'm just this motherfucker give me a trick answer. Dude, what? Fucking all these trick answers these motherfuckers give me. Damn, I shouldn't have said it was a trick question just to see. Y'all motherfuckers still would have said the same thing, ain't it? Y'all know me too well. I gotta stop fucking with y'all boys. These motherfuckers starting to learn my shit. Damn. I gotta go back to the drawing board. Keep y'all motherfuckers on y'all toes and shit. It's probably a little black and white. All of the above. He had no works. These are some interesting answers you guys have. Very interesting answers. Okay. So, with this, since y'all answered, what is your proof of your answer? What is your proof? He had no works. What is your proof? It's all of the above. And what is your proof? He was probably a little black and a little white. Sydney. Oh, I be going global early in the day. Was later in the afternoon. You guys are what? Like 18 hours ahead of us? Like almost a whole day ahead of us. He was not black or white. But God, on the other hand, and see, that's the kind of conclusion that I come to. It's all of the above. He black, he white, he ain't exist. He existed, but not how people think he is. That's just like any great legend, yo. You know what I'm saying? Any great person. The way we remember them gets expanded and expanded and expanded, and they start to acquire all these magnificent attributes and shit over time. But even when you go back to the fucking Mount Olympus and the Titans and God and the Nephilim and all of these myths, and you come down to fucking like Hermes and John the Baptist and just little individual people. Is there some truth to any of these? It probably is. To some of these characters, even fucking Saint Nicholas. There's probably some truth to it. Was this motherfucker born a virgin birth and died and resurrected 3 days and feels? Nah. Was there some dude, some brown skinned guy, ate some magic mushrooms, had some fucking psychic trip revelation, like, yo, we're all one, dude, like, we're all one, bro, like, just like God, and trying to preach some shit? Maybe. You know what I'm saying? Ain't no proof for none of that shit. Not no hardcore, solid proof to all these extra levels of that shit. You know what I'm saying? Who was the first being that created Adam and Eve or someone else? My question is, why was he strung up? Who was the... And that's it, creation. You know what I'm saying? And we have creation stories that's older than the Bible creation story. The biblical creation story is the Cliff Notes of the Sumerian text, is what a lot of people say. Fucking the Egyptians had a fucking creation story that's older than the fucking Jesus creation story. Very similar. The natives of Turtle Island, or the continent which is currently known as North America, had a fucking creation story. The Incas had a creation. Everybody has a fucking creation story. Everybody has a creation story. So why do we focus on Adam, the creation of Adam and Eve? Why is that so prevalent? And once again, people can say I'm this and I'm that, and no matter all these religions we know about, for some reason Christianity is the main one when it comes from where did it start from, Adam and Eve. Like, really? Because the Vedas says that fucking, oh my god, I forgot the Indian gods. But the Indian creation story is older than fucking Adam and Eve. But still, like, that's a good question though. Who created that? Were we created from dirt and someone blew life into us? Or was it fucking, you know, millions upon millions of years for non-organic material to somehow, you know, magically come together and form a simple single cell life that was able to have cellular division and then create more life, and then somehow this life over another millions upon millions of years divided itself into male and female sexes, and then we grew into algae, and algae turned into fish, and fish turned into monkeys, and monkeys turned into people? Or did some wizard in the sky, you know what I'm saying, just like, ooh, I'm not going to tell you where I came from, but in the beginning it was dark. It was a void, you know what I'm saying? I didn't know what to do with it, so I took the waters from above and the waters from below and separated them shits in the firmament, right? Some stars, I made day and night. The moon and the sun. Day and night came before the moon and the sun. Don't forget that. Now, I got a garden. Put some people in the garden. And then, wait, I'm going to make the woman from the man out his ribs. Humans. So, either way you say that shit, when you say it out loud, it's like, really? Well, Adam, in the beginning, he made man and woman. He created them both. Yes. And then it says he made Adam, and Adam was without a mate, so he created Eve from his rib. But who was the first person? Because it's like two creations when you read it close. He says that he made man and female at the same time. He made them both. So, yeah, that's weird. It is weird. And yeah, don't forget the monkeys stopped turning into humans and shit. Droopy-eyed mofo. What's wrong with you? I don't know. Yeah. You mean read? Oh, my bad, writing. Whatever helps you sleep. I said, I don't have all the answers. This is shit that I still be pondering over myself. You know what I'm saying? Shit. I question this shit all the time. I be questioning this shit all the time. And I go through phases. And so now I'm back on, because I was on this megalithic structure shit for a while. But then when I was on it, the first time I was on the fucking Anunnaki shit, right? So that's how I came into this shit. It's like, yo, motherfucking Anunnaki, bitch. You know, because that is something else. That is the one thing that most cultures, once again, cultures separated by time and distance, have in common with their creation story is that their creators came from the sky. And that's weird as fuck, dude. It's weird. Like, and once again, when you look at like old fucking cultures, the old Ethiopians, motherfuckers say their brother and sister god came from a different solar system in an egg. You know what I'm saying? And came here. Once again, there's some North American creation stories that say their people came from the sky. Of course, God is in the sky or the heavens, which is above or whatever. Jesus came down, and when he died, he went back up. So that's still a God in the sky. Once again, the Indian gods are from the fucking sky. Some Asian gods come from the sky. It's like, what the fuck? How come every god is like not from the earth or just walking around, or like it's weird? It's weird. Like most gods, most creation gods come from a star that's far away, or come from the sky or up above somehow. But that is one correlation. And dragons, like dragons are on every continent, divided by time and culture. Like, and there's dragons. That's some other weird ass shit it has to have some real presence in reality for it to go global. That's why there's pyramids on different continents. It was something that we knew at a certain time. We knew something about where we really come from and why these structures are important. And there is something deeper, way deeper to gold. Gold, once again, going back to the Christian shit, even in the Bible, gold is mentioned on the second page of the Bible. Gold. God talks about gold. Is that shit important to God? You God. You made the shit. Why would you even mention it? That's funny. That's some funny shit, yo. The series there, yes, the Dog Star. Not so significant. Hey. Well, so I say all of that, you know what I'm saying, just to get back into this got like shiny things. Just to get back into this megalithic structure shit. So if we think like Jesus was the Son of God, and that shit was only like a couple thousand years ago, then when you look at these fucking megalithic structures, who the fuck was doing that shit? Like 13,000 years ago? I gotta look into that shit, Ronnie. And then also, I was, and this is some shit that I heard years ago, and it won't go away, that there's like some pyramids in Antarctica, and that's why the Antarctica Treaty of the 40s was agreed upon by all the major nations. And when you think about it, like, the European has colonized the entire world. And he don't give a fuck about polluting the air, the water, deforestation, none of that shit. You know what I'm saying? Motherfucker don't give a fuck. But for some reason, once again, all the major powers said, okay, we're going to make an agreement. Antarctica is off limits to everyone. Nobody can own it. We're going to keep it pristine for research purposes. Get the fuck out of here. By now, for real, somebody would have exploited the shit out of that continent. And they haven't for a long time. Why? Why is there an agreement that no one can own Antarctica? But every other piece of fucking land on this planet is owned. Every livable, profitable piece of land. Motherfuckers even want to own the deserts. Terraform that shit. It's not hard to make a pyramid out of mud. I can imagine. It's not hard to make a pyramid out of mud. But there's a structure inside the pyramid which is the original structure. And it's a megalithic structure. So there's stones and blocks inside the pyramid that weigh tons. And so this megalithic structure was there for thousands of years. And then someone else came along and built a brick pyramid around this thing.
If you go to Egypt, there are supposedly pre-Egyptian ruins in Egypt. Pre-dynastic, possibly from Atlantis, over 10,000 years old. This is the Osirion near Abydos. Giant blocks of granite. It's actually underwater for a while. The Egyptian government spent years pumping this out. They're still pumping it out, trying to get all the water out of it. Notice here, this is inside the Osirion. There's no hieroglyphs or anything like that there. Notice here, curious notching of stones. Also, these little knobs and pillows type things that are on these stones. It's megalithic.
I don't know, CERN with their fucking Hadron Collider fucking created the Higgs boson or the Guy particle, not really knowing what the fucking outcome from what that shit was, and they're really quiet on a lot of their shit. I haven't really like been on their website or looked into them a lot since that, you know, since they did that God particle shit. They was like, oh, it might make a black hole, but we're not sure. But if we do make a black hole, it's a strong possibility it'll be a really small one and it'll disappear before we have time to even notice it was there. Or something else could happen. And they did that shit anyway. And so they got this fucking 3-mile fucking track where they take these particle clusters and accelerate these motherfuckers around this loop until they get real fast, reaching like a percentage of light speed, and then slam them bitches together. Yo. And the Mandela effect is just mass media brainwashing. If you read 1984 by George Orwell, it's just omission of information over time, and just like 9/11, we know what happened on 9/11, but nobody knows what happened on 9/11 because the information is different. So you have the Mandela effect from situations like that where people thought like, oh, I thought this happened. Is like, no. So I don't think the Mandela effect is some really weird shit to even kind of look into. It's I don't know. It's I don't know. It's kind of odd. You're ashamed of yourself because you had a breakdown and you crying on stream. Yeah, let's just see what happens.
All right, now we're in Cusco.
Just push that button.
We're the capital, the ancient Inca capital of Peru. The Incas are well known for building with this jigsaw type perfect construction. This is the famous stone of 12 angles, which is also in Cusco. Notice the knob here. This is on the label of the local beer, this stone right here. You can see on streets in Cusco different levels of building. Much of it, particularly the bottom part, is megalithic. Then other fine buildings of these jigsaw type stones. This is part of the Emperor's Palace in Tokyo too. It's perfectly fitted.
Yeah, so like you say, it's easy to build a pyramid out of mud bricks. It's easy to build a pyramid out of mud. Who the fuck built this shit right here? That's not mud. That's not mud. And the Egyptians didn't build like that. Like you said, the Egyptians had smaller bricks. But on the inside of the pyramid is a structure that has similar construction to this. And when you go to Cusco, when you go to different areas in Peru, you will see the older construction at the bottom. The foundation of most of these ruins are these gigantic fucking stones. And then older civilizations come in and find it in ruins, and they build upon it, trying to rebuild it, but they can't do it the same way, and so their construction looks different because their stones are smaller and more manageable, which makes sense. Like, why would you build it so fucking hard to start with? And that's the question I keep asking myself, and this is the question that other people in this ask the question too. Why do it this way? Why do it like that? Why make it so fucking hard to do like this? When you can clearly see two different types. Look at this wall. That wall is little tiny stones that they tried to patch. You see this wall here? Tiny small stones that they're trying to patch it up with. Small stones, but these stones right here are big as fuck. Why didn't y'all do it this way? That's easy. They did it the easy way. The older guys were able to do it like this. Whoever did that shit, that's older than the Jesus story, that's older than the Egyptians, and nobody knows who the fuck these people are. And this shit is global. This shit is in no concrete. And this shit is global. That shit is, there's global examples of this construction. Of these giant fucking stones. No mortar, and then they have like little knobs, and that's how you can tell, like, the builders, like, the stone is flat and then it has like a nipple on it, but it's the stone itself is like somebody just like putty or something and pulled a fucking little nipple or a knob onto the stone for whatever use in construction or something. But you'll see these giant walls, and every once in a while the stone will have like a little knob on it. It's like, who the fuck were these people? Who really did that shit? And then what in the fucking Egyptians? Finally, Coach down enough in this motherfucker for me to put a shirt on. That AC starting to kick in now. Feel nice in here. But it's been hot in here. The original Hitler. What?
Blocks, they're notched. See also these curious knobs that we saw as well at the Osirion in Egypt. This too is a wall at Machu Picchu.
Once again, man, this shit be too crazy. Who the hell built that shit? You know what? I went and got this so I can go see that shit for myself. Oh, let's go to Jamaica. Let's go to Hawaii. Bitch, I'm going to Machu Picchu. I'm gonna go to motherfucking goddamn Baalbek. Y'all ever heard of Baalbek? I wanna go see that shit, yo. Baalbek got some of the biggest cut stones in the world. Like, you see them shits, is like, what the fuck? A stone weighing goddamn 400 tons. 400 tons. 400 tons. Stones cut and placed into walls. Who the fuck did that? Australia? Hercules? Go to Australia, bro? Mm-hmm. Man. I don't know, man. Australia got rough history too, bro. That shit, you act like that shit ain't racist as fuck. I want to go somewhere with it. I fit in. First time I leave the goddamn country, man. Fuck that. Not Australia. Y'all killed all the Aborigines over there, man. Shit, Australia is very, very similar to America. You feel me? Australia has a very, very similar history to America. See, at least South America, you know what I'm saying, them brown countries. They ain't a black country, but it's brown. You know what I'm saying? It's just a little bit closer. You know what I'm saying? It'll be a little bit closer. There'll be a lot of tourists down there, but all the natives will look a little bit closer to me. That's why my first time out the country, I ain't really trying to go to no European country, bro. Call me racist or whatever. I don't think that's racist, but I don't want to have a racist experience the first time I leave. I'm just trying to make sure, you know what I'm saying? First time I leave the country, I don't want to go halfway across the world and somebody call me a nigga. I'm just, god damn, ruin my whole trip. You feel me? I ain't trying to have that shit. I'm trying to go somewhere like this where everybody just want to do some research, look at the stones and study this shit. You know what I'm saying? Some shit like that. Everybody into the same shit. We in a brown country. You know what I'm saying? I'm just being real, bro. I'm just being real. Papua New Guinea. Word up. I done got called nigga in America a couple times. I ain't trying to go somewhere else and have that shit happen. I'm telling you, my aunt, no lie, my aunt went to Australia. My aunt is a business professional, a black woman. She has a very, very high position at the Boeing company, the airplane company. Yeah, so she had to go to Australia on a business meeting. And she had her assistant with her. A little white girl, a little pretty white girl. So they're boarding the plane and they try to put the white girl in first class and put my aunt in the other seat, and she's like, no, the first class ticket is mine. You know, I'm her boss. She's like, oh, you know. And my aunt said they got to the hotel and they gave the white girl like the big suite and gave my aunt the other room, not even telling them, you know what I'm saying, just assuming, oh, you guys are together, you're working together, you get this room and you get this room, not knowing that my aunt is this lady's boss. And this, like, she was like, it's just weird they gave her the bigger room, didn't even, you know, and I'm her boss, that should have been my suite. And it's like weird as fuck. That shit is everywhere, and that's first-hand experience from someone I know personally, who told me that shit personally from just going to Australia on a business trip. Just because she was a black lady. Nobody thinks the black lady's in charge when it's a black and a white person. The same way it is in fucking America. I know Iggy Azalea and all that good stuff. I feel you. I understand. America's multicultural too, man. Shit, everybody we got in America. We have Irish parades and goddamn the Greek festivals and Chinatown. You know what I'm saying? Little Italy. America is very, very, very multicultural. It's a melting pot. You know what I'm saying? We got immigrants jumping the border. Everything. There's a lot of racism here too. It just is, you know. It's stigmas. And then on top of that, I already know the stigma that I would have as an American outside of America. I just know how motherfuckers think about Americans. You're like, oh, this motherfucker stupid American. You know, nah. First time I leave the country, I ain't even trying to do all that shit. I'm trying to go somewhere for some research. I said I'm gonna go look at some rocks. Stay at a little cheap ass hotel in the middle of nowhere and get up and go look at some rocks and take some hikes and look at some more rocks and go have some lunch and go back to the hotel, and the next day go for a hike and look at some more rocks, and then take my ass back home with a bunch of pictures of rocks. You know what I'm saying? That's what I want to do. I'm not trying to go to Sydney to the Opera House and rent a tuxedo. You know what I'm saying? Or go to the Louvre Museum and take pictures of the Mona Lisa and all that shit, man. You know what I'm saying? Or the vineyards of Italy on a gondola while some motherfucker is singing some weird ass song to me and shit. Like, fuck people. Show me the rocks. I want to see these big ass stones. Is they really this big? How big is they? How old are these rocks? God, man. Yo, now, you've been in here talking about that same little shit for a minute. About you crying on stream and all this stuff. But you call yourself God, man. You called yourself God, man. And you come in here asking a mere mortal, do I think you're a baby for crying on the internet? No, dude, you know what? I think you're a really brave guy. A really brave guy to keep the camera on while the tears were flowing. That takes courage. That takes courage. Now coming in somebody else's stream and talking about it, now that's just stupid. That's pure stupidity. You know? So, things like this, you should just let it, don't let it bother you. Get over it. It was yesterday. It's in the past. We can't change that. Did you delete it off YouTube? Yes, fine. It's a wrap. on to the next one. But no, you can't do that, can you? You just gotta keep like, but I cried. And everybody saw me. I broke down. I don't know what happened. It was the emotions. I need some advice. You know? But it's all good. I'm trying to, I mean, I could work with you. If I was there, I would give you a hug. I'll pat you on your back. I'll tell you you're a big boy. I would ask you to change your name from God Man to pupil or something. I don't know. Young student. Or something else. Cause like, you know. But I understand. You probably just, it's probably all about your upbringing, man. You know, the first time you cried in front of your dad, he told you not cry, act like a man, suck it up, and you've been doing that shit your whole life. You know, keeping them emotions built in. That's the worst thing to say to a little boy. Act like a man. Act like a man. What the fuck does that mean? I'm a child. My feelings are fucking hurt. Baby, what's that? How that goddamn J. Cole album started out? Baby got two emotions. I mean, two ways to respond. They laugh or they cry. That's all babies can do. Babies just laugh and cry. They know when shit good. A baby, you can make a baby laugh. They know when shit is good. You're like, oh, this is funny. I like this shit. A baby will laugh. And babies cry all the time too. Because they don't like a lot of shit. You know what I'm saying? They in pain or they hungry or something ain't right. And that's what motherfuckers do. But then your daddy say, act like a man. Act like a man. Man, let me grow up and learn to deal with these emotions first. I only got two to start with, man. Let me figure out how to balance these things. But you probably been trying to act like a man so damn hard, you know, that just when you break like that, it's hard to hold it back. And I understand. You know what I'm saying? I have been there too. Not on camera, fortunately. But, you know what I'm saying? You take that shit in stride. Now you have learned your limits. You understand yourself a little bit better. And you take those emotions, you know what I'm saying? Motherfucking squeeze them real tight into a cup. And you drink that shit. And go on with your day. And you don't tell your homeboys that you cried. You don't tell them that. You don't tell your homies you cried. You know what I'm saying? That's the main thing. Remember that for the next one. Okay? Hey, man. That's enough of that for right now. I just gave y'all a that was a goddamn that was a $52 session. That's how much I charge per hour. $52. So I'm gonna cut it short right there. It was a $52 therapy session. You feel better now?
Being black. I love it. Being black, 25 minutes late. Well, I know a lot of people want to know, who the hell is Steve Coakley? Who are you, Steve?
Well, Richard, I'm already. One, I'm pleased to be here with you to have this opportunity.
Thank you for coming.
To share this information. I've come a long way to Boston to share a specific type of information which makes people request my presence. I'm here known as a brother who names the names or pinpoints or identifies specifically the people who are at the bottom of one of the most dangerous cancers known to humankind, white supremacy. Part of, over the course of our existence as a race of people, we have been suffering from a cancer where we have misapplied the medicine or the remedy. Part of our lack of effective response has been our inability to pinpoint specifically and what type of infectious cancer it is and whom it is specifically that perpetrates it.
Define and destroy. And we haven't been able to do that.
And Brother Steve is just another victim in a pool of people who have been disrespected and lied to, had their land taken, had their parents and children raped and miseducated and slaughtered and hung and held in jails. I'm just another victim who has risen up on behalf of the millions of downtrodden. We're about to enjoy a Thanksgiving coming here in late November, where we give honor to the stealing of this country. I'm just another victim in a pile of people who have been disrespected by this cancer called white supremacy.
So that's who you are.
Just another victim.
Just another victim. Okay? Not just another brother, but another victim.
Who, this case, happens to be a brother. I think over the course of this evening, we're going to talk about them Kennedy boys. We're here in Massachusetts. Hey, obviously the New World Order is coming and Kennedy name wasn't on it. They jammed the brother, they jammed the other brother, and they eliminated the third brother from power. This is no game, this white supremacy. It has even destroyed other white people.
That's a heavy statement. So white supremacy destroys other white people too?
Yes, because there are a specific group of whites who in fact play.
That's a heavy statement.
Bro, I done said this shit so many times. White supremacy is not good for nobody. Nobody at all. Not even white people.
Other brother, and they eliminated the third brother from power. This is
no lie. I just started listening to this dude like 3 days ago. But for the past like 3 or 4 days, he's probably the only thing I've been listening to. I'm surprised I haven't listened to him in the past. Like, this motherfucker know his shit, yo. Like, all the shit that I know, it took me like at least 4 years of research. He talks about all that shit in one lecture. I'm like, how in the fuck this motherfucker tell you so much information in one lecture? I wish I would have just listened to this 4 years ago, and that shit would have saved me like trying to understand like from so many other different people. I was like, what the fuck?
This white supremacy, it has even destroyed other white people.
That's a heavy statement. So white supremacy destroys other white people too?
Yes, because there are a specific group of whites who in fact play a lineage or a breeding or a genealogical connection where the families perpetrate the leadership by mere birth. And this inherited right of leadership, not the president, not the senator, not the congressman, not the newspaper publisher. These are the people who compel those people to toe the line on behalf of the core of negativity. What Brother Coakley specializes in is identifying the forces behind the forces. Many campuses I lecture at around the country, little students come up, especially the white students, say, well, is this a black thing, this anti-white supremacy program? I said, well, you know, I said, who did you like? He said, I like Ronald Reagan. I said, well, they shot him in the belly. And they shot him in the belly. His wife was so afraid she turned to the horoscope woman to get a concession about, a consensus about how she would run his schedule. P-Rock, some people call him Perot, ran for president. He was winning the election in August. He was the front-running candidate. All of a sudden, he gets right out of the race already, jumps up in the stands, takes a seat. Bush and Clinton run past him, starting to turn for home. He jumps back out the stands, gets back in the race, and when he comes back in, they say, why did you leave? He said, because they threatened to kill my daughter. And he's a $3 billion rich white man. So as we spend our time being black tonight, those other little weak white children who cannot trace their lineage to Prince Charles or Lady Di need to hope that the drift that blows along the black revolution frees their little white naked butts too. Hotel.
Okay, I said we're coming to you live. This show is going to be, I'm going to say whatever the fuck I want to say because it's my motherfucking show.
What?
Now, I want to get right into, you said something about miseducation. Let's deal with that. Miseducation, what are your thoughts, your feelings? What about the white teachers teaching the young black males or...
Example, I've lectured at UCLA, University of Kansas, Northwestern, Howard University, Hampton University, University of Chicago, University of Illinois, University of Minnesota. In each of these schools, and thousands more, I asked some basic questions. I said, how many students they have taken economics? I was at Syracuse University 2 weeks ago. How many students take economics? 20 or 30 students stand up. I said, would you tell me who runs the Paris Club? They look at each other. Paris Club, what is that? They shrug their shoulders. They have no idea what the Paris Club is. I said, well, let's see. Who runs the World Bank? They all look at each other. World Bank, you know, not too far away in downstate New York. Just a little train ride. One of the most powerful financial institutions on the New World Order. No knowledge of who ran the World Bank. Who runs the International Monetary Fund? No knowledge of who runs the International Monetary Fund. And I said, well, if you're in economics and you don't know the engineers, the ultimate authorities in the wave of the flow of money, how in the hell can you learn something about the science of economics if you don't know power, which compels economics, education, and other institutions, and including religion, which we'll talk a little bit about later. And so, what I come to understand is that education has been really about control. If I was to walk around to these colleges here in Boston, and we drove past some to come here, and to walk in there and to ask those students who ran these power institutions, I bet you $1,000 cash, $9.99 out of 100 will not know, because I can guarantee their uniform miseducation. They have been organizedly deprived, and the most dangerous thing is, Richard, R.A., when they leave school, they think they know something, and they go to somebody who they think wasn't educated and tell them how much smarter they are, but in the realms of real power, they have been organizedly misled. But I can prove to you that the professors of economics, or the people who endow the chairs, or the presidents who control those who run the divisions that give the tenure, I can prove to you that they beg and search and pursue in an ambitious, individualistic nature the right and privilege to go to these higher up exclusive places, to be a part of the leadership of the New World Order, but then know to walk out of those meetings and never utter a word of who those players really are. And that's why the students have no idea who really runs economics. When I then go down and I say, who runs the Federal Reserve Bank? A few of them jump up how Alan Greenspan. Or like you have a Boston Federal Reserve. How many people know the 12 board members of the Federal Reserve in this region? What is their relationship? What bank boards do they sit on? What insurance company boards do they sit on? What major industrial corporations do they sit on? And if you go to the Federal Reserve Bank, you know what the little dummy mayor does. Because from there comes a sub-level of instruction, where the people who work those Federal Reserve banks carry out the responsibility of the private owners of the financial banking system. And in the New World Order, they busted the local banking white guy, the little savings and loan guy. They busted his butt, collapsed the industry, paid him off with $400 billion, telling the people they got no money for education, no money for health care. $400 billion to bust the banks, to go global with the banks. Because in the New World Order, education, starting in 1975, had to be decreased to lower the aspirations of the people. RA. I went to college for free. I went to college for free because I came in the generation after the riots of the 60s, when the institutions of Harvard were taken over by students with guns. They took over the administration buildings at Harvard, and when they did, they found at Harvard there were secret meetings of the Council on Foreign Relations being held on the campus of Harvard. You can find this in a good book written by two ex-CIA officers called Victor Marchetti, Marchetti and Marx. They wrote a book called The CIA and the Code of Intelligence, and in there are the transcripts of a meeting where Richard Bissell spoke to the professors and the authorities at Harvard, an exclusive off-the-record meeting of the Council on Foreign Relations, explaining the entire covert action program of the CIA. And in that dialogue, he explained how leadership exchange programs and educational exchange programs, on the surface looking like educational and cultural exchange, were actually CIA eyes and ears operations, where they were really feeling out personalities and assessing potential future leadership. That is a fact. And one of the things that they hate about my dialogue is that it's so well documented with good white sources. Because when Brother Steve comes, they say, oh, a lot of yak, but then he quotes that good white source, and they go, yeah, impeccable sources there, yes.
That was my next question. Where do you get your information from? I think
that's a valid question.
You said you're everyday people, right? You just another
regular guy.
Just a regular guy. So I'm a regular guy. Where can I go to become as conscious as you are?
Here's a good start. This is out now. Every regular guy should have one of these. This is the, somebody ought to pick it up. I want to see it on the camera. If I have to hold it up, I'm going to hold it up until I can get it. You got to give it some focus. Because we want these people to be understood. This is the Forbes 400. Every regular guy could buy this for $5 at the newsstand. It profiles the 400 richest people in America. Everybody should want to know who these people are. That's why the people are abused so readily, is that they cannot equate wealth with domination. Do you understand, Richard, that 0.1% of the population, RA, that 0.1% of the population controls 72% of the wealth? That means that 99.9% of the people got to split 28% of the wealth, which is that's where crime comes in. The 99% of the people got to fight over 28 pieces of food. Can 99 people eat 28 pieces of food while 0.1 person eats 72 pieces of food? That's what's wrong in America. 0.1% of the population controls 72% of the wealth in America.
Just in America?
That's just in America. Wealth in other countries like Europe, dominated by the Rothschild family, Australia and Africa, dominated by the Oppenheimer family, could show examples that's similar to those where there are few families that control huge volumes of wealth, and through their wealth they perpetrate their ideas. For example, say in America we have the Rockefeller family. I just left State University of New York at Stony Brook. I say, what about the Rockefellers? Don't nobody know nothing about them, right? He had exploited the state for 500 years. He has foundations. He has Exxon, Mobil Oil, Amoco, Standard Oil. I mean, that's Amoco is Standard Oil of Indiana now. Atlanta Richfield. He has the Rockefeller Foundation, the Ford Foundation. He then has Chase Manhattan, interlock with Citicorp, interlock with Morgan. And we just keep spilling down this interlocking relationship. But when you look at the book, Rockefeller pretends like he has only $1 billion. Then you see P-Rot has $3 billion. You would think that P-Rot with $3 billion has more influence than Rockefeller at $1 billion, but the very, very rich downplay their wealth so that Rockefeller will only want to look like $1 billion. Then there's a little footnote that says all oil wealth, in other words, untapped oil fields, untapped gold mines are not counted in wealth. Therefore, a potential oil owner could be 10 times as rich, not counting unprocessed oil. And then they know how much oil is there when they buy the plot of land. So we're talking about the ability to underestimate wealth to hide who's in power. Let's play a little game tonight.
Okay.
Let's pretend like we Dorothy, Toto, the Scarecrow, the Tin Man, and the She-Wolf, or whoever the hell that was, going on Yellow Brick Road.
Right.
And let's pretend like we going to find the wizard, because somebody been fucking up ours. And we need to get to the bottom of this. Now let's head on through the OEO boys and the Wicked Witch of the West and these other things that we'll follow on the road.
Okay, I just want to ask, okay, so you get your information from,
General
I mean, you could go to the library. I mean, there's no profound, no secret documents, everything.
Everything is publicly available. Here's a publicly available book. This book here is called The Masons Who Helped Shape Our Nation. And I'm going to hold it here till you move that camera over here to it.
In focus.
Show you right. And oh boy, if you don't move the camera, ain't going to never get on there. You know, they say, I'm going to hold it till you get there. The Masons Who Helped Shape Our Nation. This book you can buy on at the House of the Mother Supreme on 16th Street. Only costs $8. And this was about the Masons who helped found this country. In fact, we're probably in a town, Cambridge, like a new Cambridge, like old Cambridge in England, where Masonic lodges authorize these Americanites to fight against the king and the queen, to form a new society, which illegally incorporated itself in 1776. But this is a very important book. It just says that there was a secret society that founded this country and that they were anti-black. And they put the pyramid and the all-seeing-eye on the dollar bill. No, they've never been to Africa. I got a copy of it right here. I'll show it to you.
I have the Browder file down there.
We can show it to them right here. How about it, cameraman? We're going to go with it this time. This is the pyramid and the all-seeing-eye.
Thanks,
it's on the
man.
dollar bill. Come on up
Put
close
you to
here.
work, man.
There we go.
Zoom in on that.
Come on back. Come on back. There we go. That's on the dollar bill. Everybody recognize that. That's a secret Masonic symbol. And that pyramid and the all-seeing eye is on the dollar bill because this was an incorporation of a secret society. So when anyone says, was there a conspiracy to kill Kennedy? It's been a conspiracy since the beginning.
I mean, now I only saw one of William Cooper's tapes. I take it you've read Behold the Pale Horse.
I have read all forms of literature about who is in power, from the right wing to the left wing, to, like what you have here, the annual report of the Council on Foreign Relations itself. This is the cornerstone of the secret society in America, housed right in New York on 58 East 68th Street. There's a chapter of it right here in Boston with its sister group, the Foreign Policy Association.
You know, I made some calls and I couldn't get any information on the Boston chapter.
Oh, we'll find them before we leave too. In fact, we need to remind the people that I'm here to give a lecture at the Roxbury College this Saturday, and we'll talk more about that.
That's Roxbury Community College, 1234 Columbus Avenue. That's this Saturday, November 6th at 7 o'clock. Steve Coakley will be
live,
uncensored, naming the names of those who fund and promote white supremacy in America. So, you mentioned the dollar bill, you mentioned economics. I wanted to ask, what values should we hold? I mean, you mentioned miseducation of the Negro. We have this chain around our head. We have this lock. Okay. Okay, here we go. There we go. I want to see this here. You see that? We have the chain locked on our heads. We have the miseducation. And we've been trained and taught to value the dollar. Should we? Should we not? Since you said 0.1% have 72% of the wealth, and 28% are fighting over, no, what is it?
99% are fighting over 28%.
Over 28%.
Right.
Should we continue to value the dollar, or?
I think that money is just no more a symbolic rate of exchange. I think what we really want is access to goods and services through some commodity, which is now governed by dollars and coins, certificates of the, etc., etc. Money is no more than a symbolic rate of exchange. You and I could barter goods and services
without using money.
I think what we want to stop within our community is the perpetration of illegitimate, disrespectful activity for the love or use or gathering of money. Is it good for a person to inform on another person to feed their family? And in some cases, under the gun, misinform on a person, which in fact would jeopardize their life safety or ability to provide or protect their family. What we want within our society, do we want people to take money in a pulpit to allege to fight a devil, but timidly every day after Sunday be afraid of the beast that roams the planet disguised as a politician, a businessman, an insurance agent, a banker, etc.? When would we not want the value of money to disagree with our overall goal of trying to remove the impediment of white supremacy? And we, as a group of people, I tried to suggest to people that part of why blacks have such high cancer rates, high blood pressure, high kidney failure, high prostate cancer, is because they take shit from white people. The eating of shit from white people will make anybody sick. And have to show up at 8 o'clock to work, eat lunch when they say eat lunch, stay late when they ain't finished with you yet, come in on your off day, stay home on Columbus Day, though you don't believe in it, with pay. These things compel a person to breed cells within their body that just self-destruct. And I suggest to our people that we have to get out of the compelling thought that if we don't work for a white person, we won't make it or lack money. And I suggest, as I've gone all over the country and found out didn't nobody know anything about the World Bank, I tell these college students that if you just leave college right now, I was at Syracuse, they pay $23,000 a year tuition. By the time a student leaves, he $92,000 in debt, right? They go out to get a job at $12,000 a year. They'd have to work 5 years and give up every dollar of their salary only to pay the principal on that loan. So the suggestion is that if they knew enough about their own people, they could step up and master information about the World Bank. Go down to 19th Street in Washington, D.C. and pick up the reports, study the books, study the influences, follow the names in the who's who in America leading to Standard & Poor's interlocking directors over the Moody's Book of Industrial Corporations. Go through these books and find patterns of names and people or webs of power groups, and then come and explain those things to your people so that they can in effect make an impact on themselves. I go all over the country. I go all these African study groups. We love Africa, we love Africa. I say, who run the World Bank? Don't nobody know. I said, well, if y'all talk to an African lately, they will tell you that the World Bank and the IMF are forcing their country into structured solutions that are taking away their ability to run their own economies by compelling high wages, low wages on high prices, and floating their currencies in a way that they strangle their own people. But those institutions are in the middle of the black community in Washington, D.C., and nobody in Washington even knows who runs these institutions, and when I go around the country, ain't nobody even told the people. Now, what does that mean? I don't care what the white people do. But if we don't start making our black newspapers, our black television, and the access to the television that we have, start to breed and discuss things of critical importance to us, the naming of the names, and quit these vague things. The white man, the Jewish man, the Pope did it, name them, break it down to which white man, which black man helped the white man suppress the black people. We're even going to talk about the black male secret society, the Boule. This is what it looks like here. This is one of their issues. I'm going to hold it up, camera woman, till you get to it. There we go. This is the Boule. We'll talk a little bit about them. They're a black male secret society. And this Boule means advisors to the king. There is a chapter right here in Boston. They started in 1904. They're patterned on Skull and Bones at Yale, which is right down the bay in New Haven, Connecticut, whose clubhouse is called a tomb, whose initiation is in a coffin. These guys were set up like Skull and Bones at Yale. There are 3,000 black men in a secret society in America that cooperate with other secret societies that in fact make up the leadership / power elite who serve for the owner elite. Rockefeller, Oppenheimer, Rothschild, owner elite, Carnegie, Cabot Lodge, operator elite, Bush, Reagan, Carter, Clinton, 1 millionaires, shorty cools.
So basically, with you naming names like that, you're doing a bullseye, a circle, and the Boule, would you say, is the outer circle?
Yes, we know that there was a Harvard professor, and those that are watching here in Cambridge will remember a very prominent Harvard professor named Carroll Quigley, very honorable white man, one of the few white men I have great respect for, because he honestly told the truth in a 1,300-page book he wrote called Tragedy and Hope. And in his book called Tragedy and Hope, he identified a secret society, RA, which was a circle within a circle. And his second book is this, called The Anglo-American Establishment. Now, one of his students, one of his most famous students, and I'm going to hold it here till you get it. There you go, by Carroll Quigley, was a professor here at Harvard, was a professor at Princeton, was a professor at Georgetown. Impeccable white source, yes. Carroll Quigley. He wrote this book about the collaboration between the British and the American leadership to form a world power secret society that was a circle within a circle, a circle within a circle, a circle within a circle. And that outer circle is called Association of Helpers, Trilateral Commission, Council on Foreign Relations, Federal Reserve Bank, the executive branch, judicial branch, legislative branch, Harvard, Yale, Princeton, Stanford, U of C, U of Texas, you name it. Outer circle, inner circle, Rothschild, Rockefeller, Rhodes, Oppenheimer. These are the names of the families that make up the inner circle. Well, Carroll Quigley, and I need to read this for the record because I don't want this to be missed. Carroll Quigley identified that Cecil Rhodes, who was a white colonialist, he went to Africa as a part of his Masonic initiation in Britain. He pledged to colonize Africa for Britain. He then took a ship to South Africa, as zany as we know it, and started the process of stealing the gold and the diamond mines. With the assistance of Lord Rothschild of Britain, they formed an amalgamation that led to the Anglo-American Corporation, which is the dominant corporate industrial group in South Africa today. Now, this financial conglomerate, De Beers Diamond Mines, Consolidated Gold Fields, its Engelhard Minerals and Chemicals Corporation, etc., this conglomeration of financial interests had a secret society. Carroll Quigley had the privilege of reading the papers of this secret society to write a history of the world civilization called Tragedy and Hope. It was a 1,300-page book. The book got intercepted by some poor white boys in California, like Bill Cooper and the Eppersons and the New World Order writers, the guys, the little right-wing conspiracy theorists, picked up on Carroll Quigley's left-wing establishment book and told all the little white boys, there's a secret society running America, and unless we go get some street power, which culminated in Ronald Reagan's 1980 election, that this street power then resulted in the co-government of Reagan and Bush. But Carroll Quigley most prominently said that the Rhodes Scholarship Program, which was the money left, and that's important, they should show that book cover. You should show that book cover, because I want to show that book cover. He has the cover of Behold a Pale Horse. And as you can see, I have it up here too. I'm going to show you something with it in a minute. It says the Rhodes Scholarship Program, established by the terms of Cecil Rhodes' seventh will, are known to everyone. What is not so widely known is that Cecil Rhodes in his 5 previous wills left his fortune to form a secret society, which was to devote itself for the preservation and expansion of the British Empire. And what does not seem to be known to anyone is that this secret society, created by Cecil Rhodes and its principal trustees, continues to exist to this day. To be sure, this secret society is not a childish thing like the Ku Klux Klan. It does not have any secret robes, secret hand clasps, or secret passwords. It does not need any of these, since its members know each other intimately. It has no oaths of secrecy, nor any formal procedure of initiation. It exists, it holds secret meetings over which the senior members preside. Cecil Rhodes, Lord Milner, Lord Selborne, Sir Patrick Duncan, Field Marshal Jan Smuts, Lord Lothian, Lord Brand are a series of men who carried on the tradition to protect the money that Cecil Rhodes left to perpetrate his leadership, culminating in Rhodes Scholar Bill Clinton becoming President of the United States, which simultaneously compelled Oxford University to fly the American flag, because finally Cecil Rhodes' legacy had come home and America was brought back under British domination through the use of the secret society. And remember, P-Rock was forced out the race, so it was Clinton or nobody, even though we know he slept with that woman for 12 years. He's old. Yes, he's old. Now, you showed that book. Now look at this. That book was Behold a Pale Horse. And he showed the cover. Now, we'll wait on this one, because this is very important. He showed the cover, Behold a Pale Horse by Cooper, which was a biblical foretelling that when the pale horse came, so would come death and famine. It's in the last chapter of the Bible called Revolution. Some people call it Revelation, but if you bring Revelation, you will have revolution. But come back to the picture. Come back, I wasn't through with it yet. Come on, I'm going to wait on you. You got to come back to the picture. There's no dialogue without me explaining the picture. There you go.
Thank you, Rudy.
Here is Newsweek with Clinton. There's Clinton on a white horse. There's Clinton on a white horse in Newsweek. The pale white horse, as was foretold in the Bible. Behold, a pale white horse. There's Clinton on the cover of Newsweek, and it says, can Clinton tame Satan? Which is in the Quran, how you say Satan. It says Satan, and it really says here Washington. Can Clinton tame Satan? And look at the black dragons at his feet. I think I'm the one on the left over there, as I'm definitely against this white colonial activity. And symbolically, I suggest to the people that this is no accident. This is a Newsweek magazine, November 30th, 1992, and the cover of Behold a Pale Horse, pulling upon the biblical prophecy that there would come one riding on a pale horse who would bring with him death and famine. and would control a fourth part of the earth, and would allude to the rise of the Antichrist, or the core of negativity, which I perceive is like the Wizard of Oz. And I also believe, Brother Rock, that me and you and some of the people that are going to get together at Roxbury College this weekend have a God-given privilege to search out this beast, and at the appropriate moment slay it, to free the people, all of the people, most of which sought to serve it rather than destroy it.
You showed the cover there, and it had Clinton's face on the horse. Now, the chapter, as William uses to open his book, and look, and behold, a pale horse, and his name that sat upon him was Death, and hell followed with him, and the power was given unto them over the fourth part of the earth, to kill with sword, with hunger, and with the beasts of the earth. This is written in the Holy Bible, Book of Revolution.
That's right.
Chapter 6, verse 8. Alright? So, well, would you say that's a good segue into Christianity and dealing with that? Since we only have 55 minutes left. Is that
the question of religion, I think, is a very important one. How does religion fit in this discussion of the beast, or the core of negativity? One will look at us and wonder, what really are we doing on the air here in Cambridge, Massachusetts, in a predominantly white community, talking about things that most people are afraid to discuss, even privately in their homes. Parents deny their children. Children are misled and misunderstood, or watch parents do things they know they don't really want to do for money. And here you and I are on this show, free and honorable enough to stand up and declare that we're going to stand up against evil. But there are other people who pledge on a religious level that they are the fighters of evil. The only problem is that I perceive that the Rockefellers, the DuPonts, the Astors, the Stallings, the Cabot Lodges never worry about being attacked by a mere preacher or a church alliance, because in most cases, like with the National Council of Churches, it is a Rockefeller creation. And any religion that went to this government and filed papers for the right to be not-for-profit don't know anything about God, because God's soldiers need no declaration with no mere government official to prove they are operating on behalf of the righteous forces. And we will know who. Someone says, brother, are you a Muslim? Are you a Christian? Are you a Buddhist? What are you? I'm a person of principle and values who seeks to see the right thing happen for the most amount of people in as fair and as compassionate a way, but with no tolerance for illegitimacy, negativity, or the abuse of another person for one's own personal advantages. Therefore, I am with no religion that went to Caesar to get the right to be not-for-profit, not to pay taxes, and not to be a part of other things, easements that the government gives them, never to fuck with the government. No, I ain't with none of that.
My way of saying that is to recapture what our ancestors once held true and high. I take my initials, Richard Arthur, and I go by R.A., to symbolize I'm a piece of God, because I know that our ancestors called God Amun-Ra. So I'm not God, but I'm a piece of God, and I want to uphold truth and justice. And hopefully at the end of the show we're going to hear Sister Soldier sing the only spiritual that I know is a spiritual for me, because it tunes in not on the
what does that even
religion,
mean?
But on the relationship, and that's what it's about.
Let me touch your hand, because I want my piece to get with your piece and those other pieces that we're going to see this weekend, because it's only going to take a few good pieces to pull off what needs to be done. Everybody's not going to be in on it. True. So all we got to know is, all the righteous people have to know is that a few virgins can whip thousands of whores, because they have the ability to call upon an extraordinary ability to part the waters, change the seasons, produce the hurricane, or bring on the fire. Whatever is necessary and beyond the control of mere white man will be the forces that will protect us in the journey of the righteous to defeat the core of negativity that seeks to unite all the nations of the world under one leadership. What's NAFTA about? Getting Mexico and United States and Canada to have a unified free trade agreement. What's this European centralization, this 1992 European coming together of the social, political, and economic unity of the Europeans? And what is this Asian trade group with Malaysia, Taiwan, Singapore, Hong Kong, China, all spinning around, among others, Japan? It looks like, Richard, that the goal of Rockefeller's 1972 organization called the Trilateral Commission's goal was to produce the world in a three-sided power axis: North America, European, and Japan. And that those three countries would spin other countries in their axis, such as the United States would spin Canada, spin Mexico, and soon the Caribbean and South America. Europe would pick up Eastern Europe, Western Europe, and the white side of the Soviet Union, and Japan would pick up China, Hong Kong, Malaysia, Taiwan, Singapore. It's about 16 or 17 Asian countries. And the Asian side of the Soviet Union, Azerbaijan and others, and there would form the Asian cluster, so that the world would be evolved in what was called the three cluster theory. Now, for those who happen to just skip on the channel, who want to know if we know what we're saying, I ask you, the learned or attentive public that reads Foreign Policy Magazine or Foreign Affairs, things which we read secretly and master for our people, so that they understand what small public things are being said by rich people. In 1990, you all know that Richard Ullman wrote a story called The Post-Cold War World. And in Richard Ullman's story called Foreign Policy Magazine, called Enlarging the Zone of Peace, he said that we're in the three-cluster theory of world power. We know that this three-cluster theory of world power, which is what the Trilateral Commission had set up, North America, Europe, and Japan, that this three-cluster theory of world power would come about as a result of the Soviet Union and other whites uniting, such that it was not capitalism or communism anymore, it was the rich and the poor. And now that we're in the context of rich and poor, the Enlarging the Zone of Peace article said very prominently, said, well, what will happen to countries like Africa? Says that Africa will be like a specter at the feast, a mere nuisance to the New World Order in the post-Cold War world. So, well, what about aid to Africa? It says aid to Africa will be palliative, not curative. Now, that's a rich white man saying, we're going to give a nigga a Band-Aid, but don't stop the bleeding. Now, that's organized, cleaned up, scrubbed up white revolutionary talk. You want to hear something about white revolution? This is what's going on. The other whites, the learned whites, will know that Brother Coakley is correct, because in the year-end review of Foreign Affairs magazine, there was an article there written by a Times Magazine Nairobi station chief called Retreat from Africa. And do you know, Brother Rock, that in that story, the Council on Foreign Relations ran a story that said we will so starve Africa that in 5 years it will beg to be recolonized. We will so starve Africa that in 5 years it will beg to be recolonized. Now, if you go to the board of directors of the Council on Foreign Relations, and you look up and you see Rockefeller and Warren Christopher and Clifton Wartime and Bobby Eamon. Now, y'all whites know I know y'all names, because y'all know y'all don't even discuss these names. Bobby Eamon, ex-deputy director of CIA, Warren Christopher, now Secretary of State, Cyrus Vance, Anthony Lake. We can walk through all the whites who sit on the boards of power. We know you far better than you ever thought little poor black people ever sized you up. And I say to you, we know you far better than you ever imagined. But that ain't the point. We're really not even talking to you tonight. Because you know these things, you helped write them. But now that the Council on Foreign Relations, has said we will colonize Africa, now the New York Times runs the story, colonialism is back, and not a moment too soon. And do you know, Brother Rod, that this story says that the only way out of Africa's starving, going down dilemmas is that they will have to be recolonized and accept our leadership for terms of 25 to 50 years. It says, what country will we first take over and put in trusteeship? Somalia. What is Somalia about? It's about the recolonization of Africa. This is the New York Times, which bought the Boston Globe. Now, many whites know Brother Coakley. Look up Brother Coakley in the Boston Globe. There are many listings of me in that magazine. They've been following me for years, though most of you never heard of me. New York Times has done quite a few stories on me too. Just hit my name in one of them indexes, and all of a sudden, the trailing and tracking of the secret society will be clear to you, because they've taken away, I used to be special assistant to the mayor of Chicago. They took that job, said I was too black. I was chief of staff for a Chicago alderman. They took that job because I had an anti-Columbus day. They said, who is Coakley to bring up Columbus didn't discover America? I had a big anti-Columbus day, 500 people out there blocking up the parade and stuff. So I had to lose my job because the black woman I worked for didn't want to disrespect an Italian who was doing a colonial celebration. And I've been an anti-colonialist because I know how we will unite people of color all over the world. It will be an anti-colonial movement, because who colonized us is all we have in common. Who colonized Australia? Who colonized South Africa? Who colonized Nairobi, Kenya, Nigeria? Hey, anyway, the New York Times then benevolently puts the big white hand coming out of the sky, big white hand with little bitty black hands trying to reach up for salvation. Now, you think I'm going to sit back and bite my tongue and take it easy on rich white people when whites can openly advocate the recolonizing of my homeland? No, the time is near. Some people like my tongue and take it easy on rich people puts the big white hand coming out of the sky, big white hand with little bitty black hands trying to reach up for salvation. Now, you think I'm going to sit back and bite my tongue and take it easy on rich white people when whites can openly advocate the recolonizing of my homeland? No. That bumped down. Organizations are caught down. FBI come down. Am I so glad to be here? They put the fighting of the wizard. Dorothy people are tongue and puts the big white hand coming out of the sky. Big white hand with little big black hands trying to reach up for salvation.
I'm trying to get a still shot of this.
You think I'm going to sit back and bite my...
I had to take a screenshot of that. Who said what was the issue? Colonialism?
My tongue and take it easy on rich white people when whites can openly advocate the recolonizing of my homeland? No, the time is near. Some people are scared of white people. Some people have never lived their life like they believe that if they did the right thing would happen to them. This is where the spiritual context has to come into the fighting of the wizard. Dorothy, Toto, the Tin Man, the Scarecrow, and them, the Lion, they didn't whip the Wizard of Oz because they overpowered him. But they put the right water on the Wicked Witch of the West. Who is she? She's America. There was a fight between white boys and America won. The baddest white country on the planet is right here. Man, am I so glad to be in the birthplace of the baddest white country in the world, because when we win this one, now, that's the Wicked Witch of the West. Then you go on down, then you see the OEO boys. Remember them? OEO. That's the Army, the Air Force, the Navy, the Marines, the CIA, the FBI. You remember Gay Edgar Hoover? What a bitch. Gay Edgar Hoover. Now, FBI, CIA, Human Intelligence Program, Air Force, Naval Intelligence, Pentagon, Boston Police Department, Cambridge Police Department, the state police here in Massachusetts. That's the OEO boys. Those are the military that buff for the wizard. Those are the military that buff for the wizard. All of them together, cohesively. Now, one thing to show you that this is all masonically coded is that they call the police the men in blue. All police cars have at least one blue light. It's federally mandated. The police organizations are called fraternal orders of police. The Masons wrote the law. The Brethren Masons protect the law. The lower lodges of Masonry are called the Blue Lodges. It's the code of silence. It's the protective mechanism to the land of Oz. And now that the United Nations, the engineer of this new world order, has constituted a world police force, they're called the Blue Helmets. And every time you watch the news, look at that big powder blue helmet, or that powder blue tank, or that powder blue airplane, and remember, that's a secret society code of blue to show the outer context to a secret society. They're called the military without enemies, but having colonized the world, how could you start a police force without an enemy having colonized the world? See, that's why information is important, because you take away this clean slate theory of white man can start all over tomorrow without having anybody who owes him something, like he owed us for having raped. Look at our skin complexion. We've been raped, pal.
Oh, definitely. Definitely.
I wish I was blacker than black.
You know what I'm saying?
But somebody busting in on my mama, my grandmama, and compelled them to sex and compelled them to eat pork and hog. I'm all, man, I ain't gonna never forget them. And reparations, you couldn't pay me to get out of this. Now, there's some people you need to deal with. There's some civil rights officers. You can deal with Jesse Jackson. You can deal with the NAACP. This ain't no voters registration drive. We ain't gonna vote this thing out we suffering from. When you suffering from cancer, buddy, you can take 2 Tylenol. You can take some Tylenol with codeine every 4-6 hours. You got to get it again. The only way we're going to stop this cancer, buddy, is to kill it. Because if you don't stop it, it will kill you. That's the way cancer works.
Exactly.
See, I found cancer in your breast. She's like, oh boy, I got to cut it off.
Let's put a bookmark there, Steve. And when we come back, I want to begin with the maps. I want to show the disparities on the maps again, as I have on quite a few shows, but I want to get your insight on what you see between the maps, and but right now we're going to turn to the BBB. So I'd like for you to run. Go get your pen, because I have some important information coming up on the Being Black Bulletin. And give Steve a little rest on the voice and suck down some water.
Oh, I'm just wondering, how many hours we on? 2-3 more hours?
We got 40 minutes left. So go ahead.
Every night for a week, there'd be revolution in 10 days.
I would do it too, if I have the energy and I don't give
But
up.
you gotta go back to work tomorrow, so I'm not just kidding.
I'm a professional temp, man.
So you're right. No,
I do what I want to do.
You're a regular brother.
Yeah, exactly. Do what I want to do. But
So
you got
you're
your pen now? All right, here we go. Begin the BBB.
Never say you can't do something, or that something seems impossible, or that something can't be done, no matter how discouraging or harrowing it may be. Human beings are limited only by what we allow ourselves to be limited by, our own minds. We are each the masters of our own reality. When we become self-aware to this, absolutely anything in the world is possible. Master yourself, become the king of the world around you. Let no odds, chastisement, exile, doubt, fear, or any mental virus prevent you from accomplishing your dreams. Never be a victim of life. And this week's opening quote comes from Mike Norton. Welcome to Surviving the Matrix, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Maxwell Egan. It's a pleasure to be with you once again, and I will be your host for the next hour. I've been getting a great deal of emails lately from people, mainly young people, who are having a little bit of a difficult time making it through this world, this reality. I mean, the situation that they're growing up in is certainly vastly different to this.
No.
We've travelled about an hour outside Beijing, where the problems China faces managing its waste are on stark display. This stockpile here is the result of share bike schemes gone wrong. The bicycles were dumped here because they were placed or on. We've travelled about an hour outside Beijing, where the problems China faces managing its waste are on stark display. This stockpile here is the result of share bike schemes gone wrong. The bicycles were dumped here because they were clogging up Beijing streets. This is just one of many bicycle dumping grounds dotted across China. They're a symbol of a culture that produces and throws away on a massive scale. And whether it's bicycles, plastics, or industrial waste, it's a problem that's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. China's government has now declared its own war on waste. The question is it winning?
Yo, bicycle graveyard.
The scale of the problems China faces in its war on waste at its capital, Beijing. With a population of almost the same as Australia, each day the city produces 25,000 tonnes of waste, more than double what it churned out 20 years ago. This army of food couriers is unwittingly at the front line of the problem. Food delivery is known here as Waimai. In China's big cities, you can order pretty much anything, from a multi-course banquet to a single cup of coffee for next to nothing.
可能就是比较简单吧，方便吧，便捷一点吧。 像现在的话，天气热的话，就说回去啊，下班回去啊，躺在家里面好好休息一下嘛，点个外卖多少省事嘛，对不对？
Food courier Rao Jian dreamed of following his father and grandfather into the army, but a disability made that impossible. Now the 22-year-old is serving his countrymen in a different way. Every day he races against the clock. His job and income depend on getting good reviews.
Hey, 你好，外卖。你好，唐女士啊，请来一个啊。 正常上班的话，基本上就是说早上有的单很少，然后就到中午10点半到12点半左右的样子，这段时间会比较忙。到晚上6点半、5点半左右的样子，就会就是说在晚餐的时候比较忙一点。
These newly popular online delivery services are helping to generate vast amounts of plastic waste. Across the country, about 20 million orders are made each day, mainly from 2 major companies, producing around 60 million plastic containers.
有的就是说像他们同事这一块，有的人碰见过就要从楼上送到楼上，从楼下送到楼上的，这都有的。
Hey, 谢谢. Hey, 你慢走啊. Well, this isn't bad, is it? A freshly roasted hot coffee delivered right to the office store. You've got your milk, you've got the stirrer, you've got the bag to prevent spillage. But all this packaging for just one drink? You can see why China's government is worried.
Multiply by 60 million pieces every day across the country, and it's no wonder the rubbish is piling up.
Hi. Hi, nice to meet you.
Me too.
So you're travelling around basically promoting rubbish sorting.
Right.
Chen Li Wen knows all too well the challenges faced by a country where more people are getting wealthy fast.
In some villages, they don't have the basic infrastructure for waste management.
Yeah.
They just open.
She's one of China's most energetic environmental campaigners.
And you're off again tomorrow from Beijing.
Yeah.
Travelling again?
Traveling to Qinghai.
Sounds like you don't have much time.
Today, Chen Li Wen is taking us to see where a good part of Beijing's rubbish ends up, on the city's outskirts.
Historically, China's cities also send their waste to the countryside, but gradually the farmers refused because we have more and more non-organic stuff.
We've come to one of Beijing's biggest and oldest dump sites, home to both a landfill and an incinerator. And this is about as close as we can get.
So this is it.
The first time I came here was almost 10 years ago. It's now so big. It's growing like a beauty.
In the past, this landfill contaminated the groundwater as far as 4 kilometres away. Locals also worry about emissions from the incinerator.
Over the years, I have visited over 30 facilities, including landfills and incinerators across China. I could see how these facilities have impacted people's lives. And people are suffering from the pollution. Without sustainable waste management, we don't have future.
In its war to reduce waste, China has one major advantage: a vast network of rubbish pickers who keep much of the recyclable waste out of landfill and incineration.
哎，老王，哎，你好，我是比尔。哎，你们现在去哪里啊？我们去收废品呢。啊。
Wang Jindong is one of Beijing's 170,000 rubbish scavengers, part of the informal recycling industry that currently handles about a third of the city's garbage. A migrant worker who left his home province 10 years ago, Wang lives on the fringes of the capital in a brick shack with no electricity or running water. Wang and his wife took in their nephew, 11-year-old Mengnan, after the child's father became ill.
因为我爸，火都快不行了，他要把我们3兄弟中卖出一个，卖出一个小孩，但是没卖，因为大爷不舍，因为我大爷不舍得卖。我爸还说要把我卖了，因为我公老师把我卖了。
Wang is committed to giving his nephew an education.
他就说，打上学习，用功，哪个不会的我说给老师我说举手，给老师我说教给你。
Today, Wang is taking me with him to collect bottles on a demolition site, covered with plastic mesh to keep down the dust. It's slow work.
比如你看这个小厅，你可以赚多少钱？5分钱一个。5分钱一个啊，其实 it's about less than 1 cent Australian。你觉得来这里捡来大概可以挣多少钱？一天我就捡个我说20-30块钱吧。20-30块钱。啊，够生活费呢。It's about 5 or
我要生活呢。
$5 or $6 a day, roughly Australian, that you can make collecting rubbish here.
The real
he is Australian. You got that one right.
Controlling turf. Well-connected collectors cut deals with the big residential compounds, paying for exclusive rights to handle their waste.
为什么你不让进去这些小区？
小区里边的话，人家不让进，
所以你就让在外面。
人家到了我就在外面捡呢。
Well, it's not the easiest way to make a living at the best of times, but it's not even 10 a.m. but it's already getting up towards 35 degrees.
晒人呗，就是本身人我知道了我是人呀，这为了我侄女我就是人呐，不说，也就人到肚里边，哎，为了孩子我成长。 为了孩子我学习上学，我吃苦耐劳，人要装到我肚子里，不叫孩子们吃苦耐劳。
The rubbish pickers are highly effective, according to Chen Li Wen, who's studied them closely.
They can recycle whatever the market can deal with. When we do the field work and found that they recycle like almost 90% of the recyclables. It is much higher than any developed countries. They rely on recycling to raise family.
Mengnan attends a local school set up for the children of the city's migrant workers. It costs his uncle around $200 a year in fees. But even in this marginalised community, the rubbish picker's nephew is at the bottom of the pack.
那你和同学关系好吗？不好。为啥？不知道。他们都说我家穷，你们都瞧不起我。
The rubbish collectors might be efficient, but their future is uncertain. Most, like Wang Jindong, come from outside the city. In recent crackdowns, Beijing has tried to force them out. Recently, Wang has heard that the buildings around his home are slated for demolition, and he fears his could be next.
你看这个地方拆迁这个地方我怎么说呢？
谢谢啊，我这里是做饭的地方。
对对对，
啊，我这里啊。
我估计着我要住到了，你现在这个房子没提，现在还没说呢。估计大概的话能撑到了8、9月份。
The rubbish pickers are facing another threat. It comes from entrepreneurs like Liu Song, who's at the forefront of the government push to solve the waste crisis with high-tech solutions.
但是在中国，我们有很多这个收废品的，有拾荒者的存在，我们这个回收率并不低。但是呢，我们的问题是流向不可控，没有统一的监管，也没有明确的数字。所以其实一直有一个梦想吧，就是希望把这个行业做得有尊严。谁要试着投一下呢？
Liu's company aims to cut out the rubbish collectors by encouraging individuals to recycle. Each bottle credits just under 1 cent to your bank account. The company has placed 5,000 of these machines around Beijing. There's a daily limit of 20 to 30 bottles per user, designed to stop the rubbish pickers from cashing in. The company then transports the bottles to a plastic processing factory and ultimately turns them into consumer goods.
你们知道这些瓶子收到这里面去干嘛去了呢？知道吗？听说利用做成什么了？衣服，还可以做成什么？哇，很棒！哦，对。所以我们做这个环保潮品，有8个饮料瓶做的 T 恤衫，有14个饮料瓶做的包，就是把它做成跟国外的设计师，我们现在跟日本的设计师、跟美国的设计师，给它做成特别好玩、漂亮的，又用非常好的工艺去做呢，吸引很多的年轻人。
Wang Jindong is still recycling the old-fashioned way. He peddles his wares to a market more than an hour across town, another small cog in the informal recycling chain.
一收，两收，可是我卖给他的废品站的，他废品站的还要挣一批钱。可是这个废品站呢，再卖到厂里面，他也得捞一批钱。16，这已经经过了，我跟你说了，经过了这4回3回收，这才成材料。我带这个不高，我这要带这个。
Here, the city's trash turns into treasure. Any item useful for manufacturing, plastic, cardboard, metal, has a value here.
20, 30, 35.
It's been a good day. Mr. Wang's made about $30 from a week's garbage, enough to support his family for another week. From here, the plastic bottles, cardboard and other packaging collected on the streets of Beijing begin the long journey away from the capital. The question is, where does it all go from here? When the government announced its ban on foreign waste last year, it also cracked down on backyard recycling centres like this.
经过破碎，将垃圾变成了塑料碎片，再被放入一个大池子清洗，脏兮兮的垃圾摇身一变，成了灰色的塑料颗粒。
As this recent state media documentary reveals, authorities are making a show of closing down these centres because they're a danger to workers' health and the environment.
这是记者当时在工厂旁边农田里看到的废品 就是这样，废水不做任何处理就直接渗入地下。记者发现，在一些村子里、农田里，类似这样的水坑还有很多。
But have all these backyard operators really shut down? And if they have, where is China's domestic waste being recycled? We decide to visit what once was the biggest centre for plastic recycling in northern China, the Wenan district, an hour from Beijing. While processing was officially shut down here some years ago, I've heard there's still some going on.
PP, some sort of plastic product there.
And there are indications recycling is happening nearby.
Here's another truck with plastic pellets that have gone through the recycling process already. They're ready to be taken away and used for manufacturing.
But if it is still happening, it's well hidden.
这地方做那个废塑料再生的吗？不知道。这个地方不是一个那个再生的地方吗？不知道，不是。啊，我看很多店。没了，都不让干了，都不让干了，没有了。没有了。你不养吗？不让干了。你好，有人吗？
I call one of the numbers on the shop fronts, and the man tells me he's moved his business to Inner Mongolia in China's far north.
When the center was closed, people would shift it to a more remote area to continue their business. Because we still have so much plastic, we didn't solve the problem. It's just to shift the pollution from one like a very concentrated center to a more like dispersed villages.
In Wenan, there are cameras everywhere. About half an hour after our arrival, local officials turn up. Whatever is going on here, they don't want us to see it.
So it didn't take too long for the cops to find us. So they're wanting us to come down and have a word with them before supposedly they'll show us one of these local factories here. We'll see.
After an hour at the station, the police take us to lunch, then send us on our way. They say plastic processing has all been shut down in Wenan and moved to other parts of China. Back in Beijing, there are some aspects to the rubbish system the government is keen to showcase.
City officials have organised a media tour to show us how they're dealing with Beijing's waste.
Beijing is one of 46 cities across the country trialling a new rubbish sorting system. The government efforts so far to convince city dwellers to sort their waste haven't gone well.
放在这个桶里，这不是塑料嘛哈，然后就把这个放这个里头。
我们可以随便去一个小区，或者是这个周围的这个垃圾回收桶，即使它有垃圾分类桶，但是垃圾分类桶每一个垃圾分类桶里头也都是混合垃圾，这是一个非常普遍的现象，也是中国垃圾回收工作现在面临的一个很大的问题。
Eric Liu is the lead plastics campaigner for Greenpeace. He thinks the government needs to do more than educate people about rubbish sorting, it needs to make it compulsory.
要求每一户居民强制垃圾分类，这是一个我们需要去改变的一个现象。
Oh man.
Once Once collected, Beijing's rubbish is compacted, then trucked on to one of the world's largest incinerators. And that's the next stop on our tour. The Lujiashan incinerator, in the hills west of Beijing, burns about an eighth of the city's garbage, transforming the heat into energy. According to Zhang Yuesheng from the city government, each year this plant produces the same amount of electricity as 140,000 tons of coal.
那么这种处理方式呢，实际上是，设计标准的时候，我们也是，参比欧盟2000，甚至有些个别指标也要严于欧盟2000的这个标准。
China wants its big cities to burn more than half their household waste by the end of this decade. But if the rubbish isn't properly sorted, there are problems.
特别是塑料类的东西，所以这些混合垃圾在进入这个垃圾焚烧炉的时候，在焚烧的过程中，就有比较大的可能性产生类似于像二恶英这样的有毒有害物质。
总体污染物排放也是在控制范围之内所以说呢，它对环境的影响应该说是，在目前看，应该相比较这个其他的垃圾处理技术而言呢，应该是最低的，也是最可控的。
But from what we see here today, there's still a lot of plastics in the mix. It's clear China has a long way to go. For food courier Rao Jian, it's been another long day on the streets of Beijing. He's returning to the flat he shares with 11 other food couriers, all from other parts of China.
今天的话，今天是出了一点状况，然后这一段时间也不太适合，上次不是说脚扭伤了吗？
The central government is now considering restrictions on packaging, including takeaway food containers. Rao Jian hasn't heard about these plans, but he agrees there needs to be change.
你看一份餐里面最少有一份餐具对吧？然后也像有些现在他那平台上面也会提出那种就是无需餐具这一块对吧？对环保这一块的支持对吧？所以说我个人感觉的话还是。 对这一块怎么说呢？就对那个环保这一块嘛，意识还要加强一点嘛。
Both come back to see the rubbish picker Wang Jindong and his nephew. 6 weeks earlier, he told us he was worried the local government would try to force him out of his home. Well, this is a bit of a surprise since we were here last time. They've completely bricked up this lane where their house is. Just don't even know if they're home anymore. Hello, Wang, you got that?
我在呢。我在这儿呢，你好。
这墙你取的？
这墙我是人家我拆迁呢，我人家政府我砌的。
住在这里吗？
我们现在还在这儿住呢。
Wang Jindong doesn't know how much longer their house will remain standing, but he says whatever happens, they'll try to stay in Beijing.
这个墙我是下雨，人家我撵了，不让我在北京，政府撵了我不让我叫我回老家，我现在回老家回不去。
With his rubbish cart bricked in, Wang is trying to support his family by picking up casual labour jobs. It's not the future he dreams of for his nephew.
希望他我以后将来我能上去考完学。如果说我考不上学的话，我就希望他我学个手艺。 再有他这一生的饭吃，我的梦想是有他一生的饭吃，那 成家立业，这就我的任务完成了。
China wants to make a cleaner future for 11-year-old Meng Nan. But if the rubbish pickers disappear, he could be growing up in a country that recycles less than it does now. As the big cities modernise, the lives of those who have done the most to keep them clean will be more precarious than ever.
Hello Windows, designed to be beautiful, tested to stay that way for years.
If someone is getting richer, and there is someone below him who is in need, why don't the rich people help those who are suffering in poverty?
The rich don't care about inequality. They're indifferent to it.
If this continues, there will be major disruptions, whether political, whether social, whether military, whether ecological, whether in terms of health.
Inequality undermines a social cohesion and a sense of a shared society. It actually undermines people's willingness to protect the environment.
My name is Godwin Ochieng. I am 28 years old, and I work in waste management. My day is always very busy. I don't even have time to rest. I start working at the dump site at 5 o'clock in the morning. Sometimes I wish I could give myself a day off.
Yeah, China about to be more influencer than a lot of people know.
This is Kenya's biggest trash dump. It's just a few kilometers away from Nairobi's commercial district. Every day, hundreds of trucks arrive with garbage from the city's affluent districts and its hotels and restaurants.
I sort the trash because I'm trying to earn a little money. I'm no longer alone. I have a wife and child now. And they're waiting for me to come back with milk or bread in the evening. They'll complain if I come home empty-handed. I collect food and put it aside to feed my kids. They have to eat too. Sometimes I might be lucky and find some packed meat and chips here. And that would be lunch for today. Just like that. Some might think this is not a good job. If they see me looking as dirty as I am now, they might look down on me. But I know what I'm getting out of it. You can find food here. There's meat. You see these people around here? They depend on us. They're mainly here because of meat. Maybe they live somewhere nearby and they haven't had anything to eat yet today.
Every day, hundreds of people from the nearby slums come here in the hope of scavenging food or anything else that might come in handy. One of them is Wambui Gitonga.
My mom was working here, and this is where she had her income. And because she didn't have a lot of money, and we are many in our family, so she was coming here and work and have a daily bread. So I learned this is the place I can find money, but I have my own dream. This is not where I want to be in my future coming. Yeah.
Inequality first was seen as something that was necessary for growth to happen. It was something that was necessary for productivity. Without inequality, there would be no productivity. Then we started to realize that, okay, too much inequality may be a moral problem.
It's 5 a.m. in Brooklyn, New York. Pierre Simmons is on his way to work.
People look at you and they think what they're going to think. Oh, look at that person. They're picking up that garbage and things like that. You can't let that stop you. If you have rent to pay and you worry about that, your rent doesn't get paid. I took a walk outside one day, went around the corner, and I saw the recycle bags full of bottles and cans, and I said, you know something? I seen all that money. That's what it translated to me. Money. You get up at 4 o'clock in the morning, go out there, hit the streets by 4 o'clock, the world is yours. You hit those key places with a big enough shopping cart. By 8 o'clock, the shopping cart is blooming. What I like about it is my independent freedom. I go out and I make $75 a day. I pay myself a salary. My mother taught me when I was a baby, do not depend on people. You must get your own people. My goal was to just get breakfast, lunch, whatever. That's it.
Pierre Simmons never had much growing up. The 65-year-old held many different jobs. Then he became unemployed.
For me to be happy, I need peace with God. People who look down on Candace, I think a lot of them have a surprise waiting for them down the road. They need not be judgmental about other people because they themselves are a paycheck away from homelessness.
Actually, inequality results from people's life chances, from their starting point, and often from just luck or an unlucky turn. And inequality actually really damages society.
No longer able to pay the rent, Simmons ended up on the street for months.
Being homeless shapes your psychology. This is being rich shapes your psychology. On the one extreme, on the poor extreme, it could drive you mad. A lot of people don't want to go to the shelters. They're afraid they'll be raped, killed, they're definitely going to be robbed. When I was homeless, I rode ferry back and forth all night. But once it stops on one time, you can't stay on, you got to get off. Wait for the next ferry. So imagine you trying to sleep. Or you sleep on the Manhattan side. So in the morning when you're waking up, New York City is walking all over you, going to work. People looking down at you. It's the thought that this guy has a key, he can just go in his house and lay on the bed and watch TV. You don't know how those simple things you miss until they're gone.
Garbage dumps can provide a lifeline for people like Godwin Ochieng. It's dirty work, but there's very little other work here. Kenya's economy is booming, but most of the wealth ends up with the country's tiny upper class.
It's unfair when some people are so rich, when families own land and farms, while others are living in slums and have to sleep rough. There are some people who even sleep on the dump site because they don't have homes. In my opinion, people who have money should open something like a resource center, which can help lift up those who are below them, or help the young people who are facing a tough life. At least that would help reduce poverty in this slum.
Actually, what really matters to lift people out of poverty is investments in education and health and infrastructure. It's whether or not the governments do these investments.
It's really important for a society to try to enable children from low-income families to have that opportunity in life, to get the kind of education that gives them a chance, but also not to leave people falling vulnerably into poverty.
The social inequality here is striking. Most Kenyans have neither health insurance nor state pensions. 40% of the population lives on less than $2 a day. At the same time, there are more than 9,000 millionaires in Kenya. They include some of the country's leading politicians. Every afternoon, Ochieng sifts through his daily pickings, separating food from plastic and metal.
You see these containers? I arrange them on paper on the floor. I employ a guy who comes in on Sundays and weekdays to wash, clean, and dry them. When they look clean and shiny, people buy them. If I sell these containers today, then I might get about 300 to 400 shillings. That's enough to feed my family for today and even tomorrow afternoon before I get back home after work.
His income of $3 or $4 a day lifts Ochieng over the international poverty line set by the World Bank at $1.90. The United States is not just one of the richest countries in the world, it's also home to some of the most glaring inequality. As the rich rapidly get richer, the poor continue to get poorer.
Over a period of 38 years now, there was massive growth in this country. But the bottom 50% Americans, they did not benefit from that growth.
The U.S. is now home to almost 600 billionaires. At the same time, about 40 million Americans live in poverty. In 2014, Pierre Simmons gave a speech about poverty to the United Nations on behalf of Sure We Can, a nonprofit recycling center in New York.
Well, Sure We Can is a very unique place. When I first came here, I was struck. Here's a place that opened up the gates. I see a community of people. They're all working, cutting boxes, and I looked around and I seen people bringing out fresh home-cooked food, big trays of it. And I said to myself, what is this? They showed me what to do. I thought you just put 24 bottles in a box. No. They said, you want more money, sort them. They began to explain to me who was who. That Sister Anna was running this place, and right there I knew. I said, wow, there's a touch of God here.
So now you redeem the 5 cents, and you recover also the dignity and the value of each human being. Each of us can do a lot given the chance. I don't think anybody here at Sure We Can wants to live like Wall Street people. We are rich in some way, and I think when the persons have the ability to participate in decision making, in managing their own life, that is already ending poverty. Woo!
Resilience, strength, and conviction doesn't depend upon money. It depends upon spirit and actually often community. So there is amazing transformative power lying in many of the world's poorest communities.
Thousands of traders have set up shop near Nairobi's Dandora landfill. They buy and sell the goods that the garbage pickers bring them from the dump. It's a bustling economy, but with very low profit margins. They may both have millions of poor people, but there's a huge wealth gap between Kenya and the United States. It takes the average Kenyan 20 years to earn the equivalent of the average annual income in the U.S. People like Ochieng would need the better part of a lifetime.
The world is more unequal than any one nation within it. It's extreme levels of inequality between the poorest nations and the richest. And in fact, when you look at wealth, the accumulation of wealth is rising to a fraction of a global 1% at an extraordinary rate.
New York is not just one of the cities with the most billionaires. It's also one of the most wasteful urban centers on Earth. More trash is produced per capita here than in most other cities. But many of the objects don't belong in the garbage in the first place. As retired sanitation worker Nelson Molina can testify. For 32 years, he's salvaged treasures from the trash, enough to fill a small museum.
And you set this all up?
I set all this up myself.
That's ancient, man. That's over 40-something, almost 50 years old.
Yes, sir. The movie projectors.
Oh, come on. Super 8.
Super 8.
And
I got to sit there after the original Sonny.
They say we're young and we don't know.
Yeah, that's it, baby. That's it.
Wow.
This is what New Yorkers throw out every single day.
This has history, man.
If you give me 3 months, I can furnish a 2-bedroom apartment. And I'm talking about living room, bedroom, bathroom, everything. It's all out there. When I was a kid, my mother always told us, if you can use it again, you save it.
Trash is part of a professional discipline for anthropologist Robin Nagel. She also worked as a garbage collector, which made her see trash with different eyes.
You could almost say trash doesn't exist. We could decide it's not trash. It's simply something in between my use and its next use. The cultural forces in which many of us exist today tell us to hurry and go faster and do more and never slow down. And as long as we keep moving fast, we're going to generate lots and lots of trash. Food waste as a subcategory of garbage is its own challenge because approximately a quarter of all food produced in the United States never even reaches a table. It goes straight into the garbage. How that addresses problems of inequality, it's getting worse. The disparity between the wealthy and people who don't have enough resources to feed their kids across a week, right? The gap is getting bigger and bigger.
Wealthy people not only produce more waste than poor people, they also use more of the planet's resources and cause more environmental damage. The ecological footprint of industrialized countries is much bigger than that in the developing world.
I think there are two sides to human prosperity that are so simple, I have them in my pockets. So on the one side, a bean. Everybody needs food, needs water, housing, education, healthcare, the basic subsistence of life that each person has a claim to, and we know these as human rights. But at the same time, this little blue marble, our planetary home, we need a stable climate, fertile soils, healthy oceans, a protective ozone layer. So we need to end deprivation and extremes of inequality while creating a sustainable future. They go together so beautifully.
Per capita, Kenyans produce just 2% of the CO2 generated by Americans and use only 1/100th of the electricity. But consumption is growing in Kenya too, fueled by demand from the rich.
These TVs and watches are a luxury. But when you have the money, you can buy them and feel like everyone else. I feel relaxed being here. But since I walked in, I have this feeling like I am in a place of a different class. A place where I am not supposed to be. But I also deserve to be here. Lately, I have noticed more shopping malls being built than schools and children's homes. The way I see it, they are investing more in malls than in homes, hospitals, and schools.
Inequality can actually disrupt an economy. An economy that is too unequal is an economy that is not going to do the proper investments in order for this economy to flourish in the future.
Okay. New York-based artist Paul Valinsky has also figured out how to make money out of trash. He creates artworks using discarded everyday objects, like the cans collected by Pierre Simmons. This is trash that the rich are willing to invest in. One of Valinsky's works adorns a friend's luxury apartment.
So this is it?
Yeah, this is 432 Park Avenue.
Wow. A little too high for me.
Too high for you?
Yeah, you gotta be joking me. Wow.
Yeah. Apartments in the Manhattan skyscraper sell for between $17 and $95 million.
Come and look at your cans.
Oh, wow, okay. What this once was has been transformed to what we see now.
But there's still a memory of what it was. The residents of this.
I'm want to be rich. Healthcare need that people.
Resident.
Look at it.
It's hard. All these years, we've grown up with hardship. I grew up like that, and I would like to get away from hardship and have a good life. I don't think those in power will help us. They only think of their own pockets. Once they have filled their own pockets, the rest of us who are poor will just have to struggle. And if you don't struggle, you will stay poor, always.
There are those who have money and those who don't. If you don't have much and you compare yourself with those who do, you will get hurt. So if you don't have much, it is better not to stress yourself. One day you will make it.
The rich don't care about inequality. They're indifferent to it. Inequality in America is growing so far. It's so far. At one time, one person or for one salary was able to support the whole family. It's gone. It's gone. Disparity between rich and poor, they'll try and make you think it doesn't exist. When you do bring these things up, the first thing that they'll say is, oh, you're talking about class warfare. Yes, I'm talking about class warfare. Yes, I'm the one who goes into the refrigerator and there's nothing there. I'm that one, not you. You see this, stock exchange, Wall Street. These people are on a mission. They want more money. They want more control. There's going to have to be either a great rebellion or a great revolution. I don't care whether it's that you boycott them, that you stop watching TV. Stop looking at the advertisements. Stop buying stuff. People in America work to buy stuff. Cell phones, flat screen TVs, the computers, as soon as you take them out of the box, they're obsolete. What kind of madness is that? The poor can disrupt this system to the very core. Even if one day everybody got together, middle class, poor, we're not going to work. Simple as that. It would send vibrations throughout this whole country.
Inequality threatens the good functioning of the economy. It also threatens the health of the society. It also threatens the quality of the democratic institutions and of democratic debate. You know, wealth is not just wealth, it's shares of companies, it's shares of newspapers. So it buys you basically social power. If this continues, there will be major disruptions.
Near the dump site in Dandora is a youth club. Here, young people meet and sing about life, love, poverty, drugs, and violence.
There is a lot of talent in the slum areas, but much of it gets wasted. When they can't make money out of music, they switch to selling drugs. In my opinion, the government doesn't support young people.
One person who tries to help youths in the slum is Godwin Ochieng's role model, hip-hop star Giuliani, who also comes from Dandora. The founder of the youth club wants to radically change Kenyan society.
The people can never live themselves from poverty. Anybody who's going through our education system is underprivileged already. Anybody that is going through our health system most likely come out dead than alive. You see, so it's the poor who feel all these effects. So it's for us to organize, it's for us to get informed, it's for us to be active, so that we get things done. Otherwise, we can't promise our kids anything.
Do I think inequality could ever be a good thing? No. There has to be, either we all gonna sail this ship together or it's gonna sink. In a house on a hill, up the stairs, down the corridor, into a room where she'll be waiting for him. That was when I was the guy next door. Yes, she loved him.
Free trade. Millions of tons of goods in motion across the planet. It brings prosperity, or so we're told. Protectionism and isolationism are evils from the past, or they were until Donald Trump called for duties on steel imports to the U.S. Europe and China threaten reprisals. Are we on the brink of a full-scale trade war?
First, I'm signing an executive order to ensure that we fully collect all duties imposed on foreign importers that cheat. They're cheaters.
How are we being deceived when it comes to global trade? And what role do we ourselves play in that deception?
Germany can't expect the rest of the world to buy its goods while remaining reluctant to buy goods from abroad.
The arguments made for and against free trade are full of contradictions. Germans are proud of the country's rank at the top of the list of exporting nations, seemingly unaware that free trade destroys livelihoods at home and abroad.
It's a David and Goliath situation, but just that in this case, it's Goliath that wins because the European Union is the Goliath of the whole show.
Who are the real winners? And is free trade really as free as it sounds? The port of Hamburg. From here, German products are shipped to countries all over the world. In return, around 9 million containers arrive here every year, most of them from China. The city in northern Germany is a gateway to Europe for goods from Asia. And when they enter the EU, many products are subject to import duties. Cars from Asia and the US are taxed at 10%, clothing at 12%. Smartphones aren't taxed at all. Customs duties are complex. There are thousands of different types of tariffs in countless variations. Agents Gabi Janssen and Eva Hoffman from the Port's Central Customs Office check imports every day. It's their job to ensure that goods are declared properly. There are a vast number of loopholes.
It says it's a microfiber coat. For a pet. That's right, made of knitted polyester.
Exactly. From the size, I'd say it's supposed to be for a dog. Made in China, and they're different sizes. This one's apparently for a medium-sized dog.
Do the dog coats have leather parts as well? In that case, they'd be charged at a lower rate.
100% polyester. So at the moment, that means a 12% import tax. If these were saddles, that would only be 2.7%.
They have no idea what's behind that difference. It's a decision taken at the EU level. All they do is check the contents of containers.
I've been working here for a long time, and working here you feel like Germany isn't the world's top exporter, but that most of the stuff is coming from China. The Chinese make pretty much everything.
The question is, do import tariffs bring benefits outside of government coffers?
I guess they protect a country's domestic economy.
Is that true? What role does protecting domestic industries play in an era of global free trade? We've come to the town of Hildburghausen in the German state of Thüringen, home to Wolfgang Renner's company Merida and Centurion. The former top cyclocross cyclist was the man who brought mountain biking to Germany in a big way. Today, he's a successful entrepreneur. The company offers a range of models, and business is booming. So, where do the bikes come from? This bike, it's made in Germany.
No, it's not made in Germany.
But it's a German brand.
Yeah, it's a German brand.
So where does the frame come from?
Like so many things, the frame comes from China. It's painted and assembled in Taiwan. Quality control all happens here.
A bike designed in Germany, assembled in Taiwan from components manufactured in China. Made in this way, a bike like this pays a 15% import duty when it arrives in the EU. But if it was shipped directly to Germany from a factory in China, the importer would have to pay almost 50% in punitive tariffs. Why? Because a Chinese company can make bikes much more cheaply than a German firm ever could.
20 years growing, has become the world's largest bicycle manufacturing leading enterprises. The group we have established.
In this promotional video, Chinese bicycle manufacturer Fushida claims it has the largest bike factory in the world.
International first-class production technology. And more than 100 robots welding machines.
Companies like these are subsidized by the Chinese government. But that's just one reason Chinese products are so cheap. There's also scale.
Are creating miracles one after another.
With a production capacity of 100 million bicycles a year, China could quickly swamp the world with its products.
Of various markets all over the world.
Companies like Wolfgang Renner's would go under, so he sees the import tariffs as protecting Europe's bicycle manufacturing industry.
Sometimes you have to have protectionism. It's unavoidable. The point is that in business, you need a fair playing field. You can see it in other areas too, where government subsidies keep other manufacturers from competing because the market is distorted.
So it's about jobs in Europe?
Sure, it's about jobs and fairness.
The import duty ensures that Chinese bikes are more expensive when purchased in Europe. Punitive tariffs, a form of pure protectionism. But there are ways around them. For instance, having the bike frames that are produced in China finished in Taiwan. Then punitive tariffs don't apply. The final assembly of bicycles made with Chinese frames then takes place in Europe. It's an industry that provides 100,000 jobs on the continent. Renner is glad that protectionist tariffs keep Chinese competitors out of Europe's markets. But the international trade in bicycles is a hotly fought segment, and the companies trying to grab a slice of the pie will go to great lengths to do so. Not long after the EU implemented punitive tariffs on bikes from China, they began to arrive from Cambodia, Malaysia, Indonesia, and other places. When it grew clear that the bikes were actually being made by Chinese firms, punitive tariffs against those countries were put in place. Then, Tunisia began exporting them, and was soon slapped with tariffs. Today, components for the bikes are still mostly made in China, but the frames are finished elsewhere, like Taiwan. Because that's where the rules say value is added, the bikes are then no longer subject to punitive tariffs when they're imported into the EU. So what happens when the market for bicycles isn't protected by high import duties? In the U.S. city of Philadelphia, bike store owner Brian Cathwick used to sell exclusively American brands that had been produced domestically. But that changed a few years ago. There are still American brand names, but the bikes all originate in the same place.
Made in China. It doesn't matter which the manufacturer is. Whether it's Trek, whether it's Cannondale, whether it's Specialized, all their bikes at some price point or at some level are made in China.
Without protectionist policies like those in Europe, he says Chinese bikes have flooded the market in the US, and that has in turn destroyed a lot of jobs in the country, especially in his home state of Pennsylvania, where the bike manufacturing industry once flourished. The store owner says it's not a good feeling to promote the sellout of the domestic sector by selling cheap imports, but what choice does he have?
Keeps my family fed. You know, I own 2 different bicycle shops. To be able to offer my consumer a bike for under $400 that has gears, to be able to offer a bike for under $300 that's like a single speed ride around the city, it's nice to be able to do that.
President Trump has threatened many sectors with punitive tariffs, but not the bike industry. In general, Cathwick is critical of protectionist measures, but he would have made an exception for bicycles.
It depends on what perspective you're looking from. You know, people who have lost their jobs because it's been farmed out to China or Taiwan, they'll probably have a very different view than somebody who's never been affected by that.
But isn't free trade supposed to bring more prosperity for everyone? American woes in many areas of trade can't just be traced back to China, but also to Germany, says Professor Herbert Dieter. He teaches his university students in Friedrichshafen that being an export giant also has a dark side. German products sell well internationally, not just because they're high quality, but also because wages in the country have only climbed moderately in recent years, while the euro has remained relatively weak. Trump is angry about the trade imbalance, and Dieter says he has a point.
Surpluses in Germany mean deficits in other countries. Germany expects the rest of the world to go into debt with Germany, but also likes to criticize the rest of the world for being too deeply in debt. It wants to have its cake and eat it.
Das passt also hinten und vorne nicht zusammen.
Germany really does profit immensely from global trade. In 2017, it exported goods worth over 1.2 trillion euros. Like China, that makes the EU a big net exporter. Germany has a whopping 250 billion euros trade surplus. The US has a deficit of around 500 billion, with many more goods and services flowing.
All right, I'm gonna take a break. I'll come back later on and work on that table a little bit, and this painting is almost done. Hopefully there is a chance I can get it finished today. Yeah, I'm gonna chill for a couple hours, take my eyes off of it, come back, look at it with some fresh eyes, see what else I need to hit before I really get on this table. Like I said, there's a little bit more to the cup, little highlights here, and there's a logo on that cup. I may change that logo and put something subliminal there just for myself, but we'll see. It does look good though. I'm liking all those blues and these warm reds and browns. I'm liking this piece, yo. I'm really, really, really liking it. Alright. Damn, I might have to take me a nap. I'm feeling kind of sleepy. Peace, till next time.